What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Nashville Predators are going for it, signing multi-time Stanley Cup champion Steven Stamkos, 2023 playoff MVP forward Jonathan Marchessault, and defenseman Brady Shea. The 34-year-old Stamkos spent his entire career in Tampa Bay, where he went to 4 Stanley Cup finals, hoisting the cup in 20 and 21. He also led the NHL in goal scoring in 2010 and 12. The NBA also had a pretty exciting free agent day yesterday, as others were signed and others were traded. As prolific shooter Klay Thompson was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, signing a 3-year, $50 million deal with the third year as a player option. Jason Tatum signed a 5-year, $314 million deal with the Celtics. In 2002, if I could talk this morning, the Celtics were purchased for $360 million. Now, almost double that figure is invested in 2 players. It was reported yesterday that the Celtics will prepare to sell a majority stake by 2025 and close on the sale of, quote, all shares by 2028. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Tuesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW. And ladies and gentlemen, we have got a Stanley Cup contender in Music City, USA. The Nashville Predators make some money moves on a Monday. We've got all the reaction to that with John Buccigross of ESPN at 7:20. VolQuest's Austin Price joins us as a big-time decision looms in the not-so-distant future for Josh Heupel and Tennessee football. Ron Slay of 3HL at 9:20, 615-737-1045. That is how you join RKW. Robert Walsh, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Joined today by a guest who is an 11-year NFL veteran. He is a Vol for life. The last time Tennessee won the SEC East, he was on the field. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Ramon Foster.
First time in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. I got my chalice with me also.
This is RKW, Robert, Kayla, and Will.
And he even got the memo. We were talking hockey today because he is wearing a throwback Vols club hockey.
Yes.
So that's their current jersey.
That's current jersey right now. It's the club.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a
Vols
throwback.
club hockey jersey or whatever it is right now.
Impressive.
So I told Will I saw him in the I said the locker room. What are we
The
right
locker
now?
room.
What
Saw
is
him in the
this?
dressing room.
Strike one, 603, all right?
603. Got to get it together, baby. I saw him in the parking lot, and I was like, hey, since I've been out, I heard the state school Vols won a national championship, and the hockey team here has been making big moves. So I gave a 2-for-1 with this jersey.
You did.
Like, this shirt. Do we call them shirts in hockey?
Sweater.
Sweaters.
The sweater.
If you're getting really technical. Yeah.
Yes, with this sweater this morning. By the way, you can wear these in the summer with like shorts because they're super light, breathable.
Oh, your pits
so it's
get
not
to
even
breathe.
like, my pits get to breathe a little
Sure.
bit. So
It's
pretty cool. This is a Father's Day gift, by the way.
Keisha?
Enjoy this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to her for this one.
Have we even seen you since Father's Day?
Oh my gosh.
When
Yeah, I
was
think we have.
Wait, when was Father's
a day.
June 19th.
I came in.
I have not, but Kayla
No,
has.
you
One
have.
day.
Because I was gone. I was in the Bahamas.
You were. We came in for a Monday, Tuesday, I think, and that
You were out
had
Monday.
Juneteenth,
Yeah.
and then I was off since.
Yep.
So crazy.
So one day.
My wife, of course, she's super technical. She's a thinker. Okay, she was just
Right.
like, when we got home, she was like, in the last 18 days, we've only been home for 2 days.
Out of this whole trip.
Yeah, out of
Or
this whole
whatever you want
month
to
of
call it.
June, I
Yeah.
guess. The last 18, 19 days, I've only been home for like 2 days. So that's
wild.
That's been wild. 5 states, California, Virginia, Georgia,
Foster
Bama, and Florida.
Woo!
Insane, man. And it was capped off good. Like, I hate beach tournaments. I do. We were in Panama City this past. I absolutely.
By the way, that had
hate-
some rip currents over there.
And you know how many times I saw the beach?
None.
0.
Yep.
Not a single time
Sounds
did
about
I
right.
see the beach, man. And we were probably a block away, but we had baseball. Get back. It's tired. It's hot. I think Florida in the summertime is where the devil go to take a break. Legitimately.
Probably.
Fair enough.
In
Is that
many
a-
ways.
Have y'all been there? And
Yeah.
it sucks. It
Yeah.
sucks in the month of June, man. I'm like, why do y'all live here? I know the sun is a thing, but you can't even enjoy the sun because it's so humid. Like you're breathing water at a certain point.
My one friend, Lauren, who lives in Miami, she gets out of there during the summertime. Like she goes
She ain't
back to
wrong.
visit her parents in New York. She'll come up here, she'll travel.
Not wrong at all,
Yeah.
man. That was my first time in Panama City Beach. I've never been that portion. I think that's 30A also, or the Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been that far down, but it was cool. More touristy down in that area. Kind of reminds me of East Tennessee a little bit with Gatlinburg or whatnot, but it's not as clean. I will say that. It's a lot of
No.
options down there, but not as clean.
Not as clean as Gatlinburg. Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, that's the way
sentence in that
Why is
direction.
Gatlinburg dirty? I didn't know
No,
this.
it's just that the main strip that we
Unique.
were on, it had like the Ripley's
Oh,
Believe
'cause
It or
it's all
Not
the
and
tour.
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's old, like older
Everywhere is
building.
Gatlinburg.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was actually pretty good. But they recently, what was it 2019, just went through that catastrophic hurricane down there too. So
Yep.
they are rebuilding.
All right, so the Nashville Predators are the main story of the day, but Ramon, you have not had the chance to react on air to the fact that the Tennessee Volunteers won a national championship. So you have 60 seconds to celebrate that.
Amazing, by the way. Okay, we sat down there and watched the game. My entire family. I remember when the final pitch came in and he swung at it. I was just like, one, that was a terrible pitch to swing at, but I get it, okay? And when he jumped down on 2 feet and just hunched over like that, I was like, let's go! Me and my family, we were clapping in the house and everything, like super excited. I could barely go to sleep, and I was just refreshing Twitter. I was talking
yeah.
so much trash on social media, man. Absolutely love it. Shout out to the Baseballs, man. Vols fans, I know you guys had me on that morning to talk about some BVS. Let it go.
Let
We're
it go.
back.
Let
We're
it go.
so back, man. Golly, I was excited, man. It was phenomenal. I had a blast watching this. It was by far one of the best seasons I've seen. Not just that,
yeah.
but I was glad to see Coach Vitello evolve. I was glad to see the guys grow up even more so. And now the profile has changed big time, man. Go Vols. Love you guys. Absolutely amazing time I had in watching them,
It was
man.
big time.
It was big time. And by the way, walking in and out of stores in Panama City, hey, go Vols. I opened up a door for a dude and said, hey, come in here, you national champion. I did it. I swear to
He
you.
was wearing
I
his Vols gear.
swear.
All right, that's a minute.
You just cut it off.
Good job.
You did it like that?
Yeah, that's good.
There's a lot of Vols down there in Panama City, by the way.
They really are.
Wow.
Hey, Bert.
You know what I would have said to them if I were you, Ramon?
What's that?
Not winning the national title? Couldn't be my team.
Oh, God, I'm glad you guys weren't both here during this whole thing.
And yesterday was
We
a big
walked out
day,
the studio.
too.
Could you imagine
Could you
not winning a national
imagine?
championship this
It
year?
feels good. And by the way, the cities I hit up, by the way, and I told you guys this, I think last week, Tuscaloosa. I see the difference in what championships do. I do.
Cute little town.
It's built on championships. There's nothing else about it.
Yeah, you saw it after
I saw it between
all of
that,
that, right?
and the Mercedes-Benz plant that's close to
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa.
That's right.
You can tell that city has been chiseled out by championships. And I get why Nick Saban's got a statue already. I get why he can just do whatever the heck he wants to. By far, it was my first time being in the SEC city, another SEC
Really?
city. Never have spent time in one
Yeah.
like
No
that.
kidding.
When we fly in, stay in a hotel, go to the stadium.
Yeah, so
That's
you don't
it.
get to see like the
Nothing
little
more.
downtowns and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I
Best
got
way
an
to do it.
opportunity to
Okay.
walk around and see little Tuscaloosa. It was cool. It was cool. The fans there were pretty cool. I wore an orange shirt in public. I will say that too.
I'm
for you.
surprised.
I did. Got some flack
Nobody
from
lives
one
there in
of-
the offseason.
Yeah, that's what I also saw.
There's just a couple students there for summer stuff.
But I will get into my stops of the places I went to. Went to Charlottesville, by the way, too, y'all.
Virginia? Yeah.
Virginia. RJ
Impressive place.
Yeah. RJ did a baseball camp there.
I was going to say that's a pretty campus.
Yeah, it is a pretty campus. But Tuscaloosa, man, solid. I will say, you still going to Charlottesville at UVA campus, you know you're not in SEC country.
That's right.
Is that okay to say? Is it like I knew I wasn't in SEC country, but it was still nice, though. Very nice.
Well, yesterday, the Nashville Predators had a very nice day, and we talked a lot about it as the show ended. All this news broke right when we went off air. Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea All Nashville Predators. Brady Shea, a 7-year deal. Stamkos gets a 4-year contract, and Jonathan Marchessault, a 5-year, $27.5 million contract. We'll talk a lot about this throughout the morning. Barry Trotz met with the media last night, as did Steven Stamkos yesterday afternoon. And it's a great time to be a professional sports team with a free agent budget in Nashville, Tennessee.
My goodness. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, first of all, we have talked about the incredible offseason for the Titans. And just in terms of sports talk radio, we have had something to talk about really since the end of the season. And then we had the success of the Vols baseball team in Omaha winning a championship. And just when you think we might maybe have a little bit of a lull, and July is considered to be that before training camp starts up again, boom, Barry Trotz goes out there and he lays down the business. The Predators were the main headline in all the NHL free agency moves yesterday. They were even headline just in terms of sports in general yesterday, just signing 3 big names to their roster and what they hope to, now consider themselves as Stanley Cup contenders.
Yeah. I saw the news coming across yesterday. I turned on the radio and I was just like, oh, wow, what is all this news? I thought we was talking about, Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC. Absolutely not. A lot of money dished out, man. But again, when you look at the changes they made last year, you look at some of the youth movement that they've had in place too, it seems to me if you're going to go young on one end, you got to also have some veterans on the other end. This to me seems to be the exact same thing that we've watched the Titans do in the last year or two, is get some veterans to set what we say is your steady ground now, right? It's the template for everything it seems to be moving forward. And what better way to do it with some veterans that have also learned how to win championships too. It's funny. Yeah. Looking at L'Jarius Sneed, you're also looking at the Florida Panther who was signed here also. Championship pedigree that you're bringing inside the locker room. The conversation changes when you have those types of dudes around like that. Is you challenge guys a little bit more. You feel that pressure of playing with those types of dudes too. So shout out to the Preds for making moves like that, man. All I know is, again, I'm not as fluent in hockey as I should be, but all I was hearing yesterday was Preds. It almost felt like this was an NFL free agency with the amount of money that was put out yesterday by them.
615-737-1045. Everything you need to know about the trio of new Nashville Predators. We'll dive into that next. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. You deserve all the comforts of home, including endless hot water at your fingertips. Tankless water heaters powered by new recirculation systems save energy, money, time, and space. And Lee Company has a limited time offer of $750 off a tankless water heater when you purchase a recirculation system. And to make the heater even sweeter, qualified buyers receive 18 months of 0% financing. Take advantage of this offer today and call my friends at Lee Company, 615-567-1000, or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get $750 off a tankless water heater. Yeah, you got to trust the pros over at Lee Company. They're open 24/7, 365 with 80 years of experience. They have been trusted in this community since 1944. They know how to do business the right way. 615-567-1000. That's the number to call, online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company. All you need. Full crew back together on a Tuesday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Will Bowling, streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
He's not doing it anymore.
And that is the big headline from when you were gone, Ramon Foster. Robert has retired from trying to say Twitch, please, fastest enough.
He let me say that as fast as I possibly could.
You
like
look
a
goofy
fool.
as hell right now.
I did.
You look goofy
That was
right now.
quick.
You in a competition with myself.
Now listen, this is how I explained it. It's
Oh,
kind of like
my.
when you're with a girl, or you're with a girl, but she has a boyfriend. So you're kind of like hanging out while he's at work all day, right? So when he comes home, or she finally breaks up with him, I done hung out with this girl all the time. I don't want it anymore either. So you've been going off to work. You've been working in the coal mines. You can come back. You can have Twitch, please. I will stay back here.
Is that what we're doing?
That's what
very
we're
kind
doing.
of
You got tired of sitting on her couch, basically, and you want to go back home.
I like being a side dude. What can I say?
Yeah. You
This is
still
a
sound
great
like you haven't
explanation.
recovered from the weekend
great
either.
It's just my throat. That's all.
Okay.
Just my
wanna
my
pause
voice
that?
is a little scratchy still. It's very
Sure.
early, but I've been drinking a lot of fluid, working through it.
Good.
Jeez.
Hey,
Get a
Ramon.
pause. Don't get a pause on that.
get your mind
Now
out
listen,
together.
we don't do that stuff no more. Ramon.
615-737-1045. The Predators make 3 additions yesterday, and Barry Trotz announces that Steven Stamkos will start there, gets a 4-year, $32 million contract, says, when I became GM of the Predators, I said many times I was looking to add serial winners to our franchise, and there is perhaps no one who fits that mold more than Steven Stamkos. 555 goals for Stamkos in his career, second most among all NHL players since his rookie season in 2008-2009. And Kayla, he is also a winner who plays his best hockey in the postseason.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this move and the moves that Barry Trotz made, yes, they're big names, right? We know especially the Steven Stamkos of the world just because of his resume. Jonathan Marchessault, excuse me, obviously his resume as well, with the Golden Knights as of late. And Shea. I mean, Shea's been on a Carolina team since 2020 that's been extremely competitive in the postseason. I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes have had a team that could possibly be a team that could be holding up a cup at this point, but it is the National Hockey League and the playoffs are wild. Anything can happen, but they've had a team that's been able to compete. But specifically with Stamkos, what impresses you about him is he's 34 years old. So I think the first thing that maybe people think about when they maybe haven't followed his career or what he's done lately is, oh, he's 34 years old. And in hockey, as in football, and in some of these other sports, it is a little bit older, right? You're maybe past your prime. But if you look at what Stamkos has done lately, he still is continuing to produce at a very high level for being 34 years old. And I think Barry Trotz isn't going to commit that much money to somebody if he doesn't believe he's still able to play good hockey at this point of his career, at least if they're trying to go all in the next couple of years, which seems to be what they're doing right now in terms of the Preds to try to win a Stanley Cup. So I feel like it's one of those things where maybe people think it's a little bit of a gamble with the money that you're giving him. But if you look at his resume, you look at what he's still continuing to do at a high level, and then you just look at what he can add to the postseason. And I think that's what you saw missing from the Preds last year with the youth injection movement. Yes, you have some of your veterans like Yossi and Philip Forsberg, but now you're adding guys that have been there, that have won cups, that knows what it takes when you get in those grimy playoff runs, how to handle business. And I think that's the biggest thing they're going to be able to have now with guys like Stamkos and Marchessault.
Is this where a guy like Barry Trotz, you trust him because he's a pure hockey guy to make these types of moves right here when you speak about age? Like, he's a veteran in the game, former coach, now GM. And when he make moves like this, do you somewhat say, okay, this is not just for now, it's for later also, as it pertains to where the Nashville Predators are? The last few years haven't been what they wanted to be as far as winning, right? And at some point, you got to make certain moves to get you over the edge. And it seemed like that's what these three moves are, as a hockey guy and Barry Trotz, understanding if we're going to jump the line, we got to do it in free agency and we got to do it early. If I'm not mistaken, I heard it was 3 of the top 7 guys you signed here in free agency.
By
on day one.
Numbers, it was 3 of the top 5 free agents that were all signed by the Predators.
So you trust this move from a guy like Barry Trotz more than anything because he's been around and saw it from a coaching and as a GM too.
Yeah, I mean, Barry's trusted around the league.
Yeah.
And we know him here as what he did as a coach, but then he's obviously been to other places. He knows players. He was connected with Stamkos too, just the connection with them as they played on the Canadian team, I believe, years ago. So it's not like he didn't know Stamkos outside of him just being a really good player in the league. There's always connections in hockey because it's a small world. But yeah, I think you have to trust Barry Trotz because, first of all, he's aggressive. And you got to respect that in this day and age when you're trying to win now. And that's what it's all about. You've got to try to win now because you've been in the middle for so long. And you're not going to tank necessarily and try to just rebuild completely. So what can you do to maybe get you to the point now? And for him, it's like adding these pieces. And clearly they believe in UC Saros because they've signed him to extension, which was also big news in the last few days. But they have some backup plans for that in terms of goaltending. And now you've got 3 guys that have experience in the postseason. Yes, they are more veteran players, but if you're considering getting the job done in the next couple of years, I think you sometimes have to take that gamble. Okay. And it looks like he believes that this is the right move. Else, you wouldn't spend that much money.
Right. So in football terms, they've signed an outside edge, is what you're telling me, a left tackle, and a wide receiver. Is that the way we look at these 3 signings in American football rules right here?
I mean, I think you could make the argument with Steven Stamkos that outside of Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, he is in that next tier of forwards. I mean, 555 goals is second most among all NHL players since his rookie season in 2008 to 2009. Mm-hmm. You have Crosby and Ovechkin, who are in the maybe first tier of players in the history of hockey. And Steven Stamkos is right there up in that conversation as well. He's a winner. For me, what I think I really like about this is where he fits into a place where the Preds were really bad in the postseason, and that's on the power play. So specifically with the kind of scorer that he is, Adam Vingan put this out yesterday on Twitter. He's had 40 goals, which was 15th among all skaters a season ago, but 187 one-timer attempts led the National Hockey League last season. 19 power play goals was third most in the National Hockey League last season. So you are getting a guy who is not only a scorer in any phase of the game, who can play quickly, but his shot is so quick, and the way that he scores makes you so much better on the power play. This is one of the power play scorers in the entire league. Yeah,
and that was the issue. Like, power play has been an issue. Let's just throw it out there. Power play has been an issue for the Nashville Predators in terms of finding consistent, production of the power play. There's been some ups and downs where you've seen better parts of it, but overall, it's just not been good enough, right? And you're right, Will, especially in the postseason, when they really had those power play opportunities, when you're playing a close series like that against Vancouver, and you're just not able to contribute enough on those power play opportunities. And you had mentioned Adam Vingan with that stat, and Megan Chayka, who does analytics for the NHL, she's wonderful. She was adding that Nashville was 26th in one-timers taken per 2 power play minutes this year alone. And so you add a guy like this in Stamkos, like Will said, who has a quick shot, a powerful shot, and that can help you so much in terms of more production in just that aspect of the game.
Yeah, and of course, offense, it seems like in every league, is what's going to drive people into the stands too, right? It seems to me that when you look at power plays, and we were at the game, and I think they had a couple power plays in that when we all showed up at the at Bridgestone. And it seems to be deflating whenever they have a power play and nothing comes of it. And a lot of it can be blamed on coaches. But it seems to me that Barry Trotz and it seems like the staff with the Preds have pretty much just said, all right, we're going to give you guys an opportunity to show your worth. And if you don't, we're going to go shopping. I never forget having Coach Tomlin say that to guys in our room. It's, all right, if we don't get this production out of you, don't worry about it. I'm going to go shopping. That's what free agency is all about. That's the beauty of it, too, is you can pick certain guys and you got to pay a price for it, and they did, and it's free agency, but you got to give it to a guy that want to address an issue head on. Because, again, if you believe in your coaches and some of the players, well, there's probably some other pieces that needed to be added to make sure that you can score in those power plays and not just waste away that opportunity that we've seen and talked about in this room, I know, for the last 2, maybe 3 years as it pertains to the Preds power plays.
And real quick, just on the offensive note, look, everywhere you're seeing offense become more and more of a priority in a lot of sports, right? We're seeing the production of just the even in NBA, what is it? It's points, right? There's not a lot of defense played. And I'm not saying that's the best thing, but that's just the world we're living in right now. In the NFL, it's points. I mean, that's why you saw the Titans completely change their philosophy on what type of team they're building. If you look at the Preds right now, what are they doing? They've always kind of been a defensive minded team for the most part. And I'm not saying that's going away at all, but I think Barry Trotz realized we have got to get some scoring. We have got to get some more prolific scorers on this roster to be able to keep up with some of these teams, not just in the regular season, but in the postseason. Goalies are a huge thing in the postseason, but you got to be able to score points too. And hopefully with these two offensive additions at least, and then obviously Shea on the defensive side, that can be achieved.
Right.
Jonathan Marchessault, 33-year-old who won the Stanley Cup and the Conn Smythe Trophy in 2023 with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. He's played 638 career NHL games, 5'9" forward who last season was tied for 11th in the NHL with a career-high 42 goals. So at 33 years of age, Jonathan Marchessault is still playing the best hockey of his career, an undrafted player who actually became the first winner of the Conn Smythe Trophy to be an undrafted player in the NHL since Wayne Gretzky in 1988. So, Ramon Foster, there's someone for you to maybe get their jersey as an undrafted guy.
I might as well at this point. And it's also into his 11th season. I played 11 seasons. Okay, he's going to get way more than that.
Right.
But
he's got a 5-year deal. Just going into year 11.
His journey is unique in hockey. That if you look up his complete resume, and he mentioned it just by going undrafted, that is unique. For him to go undrafted and be where he is today in his career and still be producing too at that level. He's been with several different teams. He's been up and down a lot. And now he's at a point, and has been for the past several years, at a point where he's playing some of his best hockey of his career. So I could look at him right now and say, look, he might be in his 30s too, but he's also producing at a really high level. And what I love for him is he was really a motor for that Vegas team. And, the Vegas team that was able to win it all as well. I like the style of hockey he plays. He's also one of those leaders. So I think this was as exciting as Stamkos was. I was almost excited about Marchessault as well.
I hope Kayla talks that well about me and my undrafted pathway that I had in life.
Hell yeah.
Your story is unique.
Respect.
I'm playing. Go ahead, Will. You had something more.
Well, Brady Shea, a 7-year, $49 million contract for him, and he just plays a lot of ice time. He's out there for a while. 21-17 average ice time last season. That was the second most in his career and among Carolina defensemen. He was one of 8 NHL defensemen last year to score at least one power play goal and one shorthanded goal. It had a career-high 9 points in the playoffs, helping the Hurricanes reach the second round. 1 goal, 8 assists in 2 games. He joins Roman Josi, Luke Schenn, Jeremy Lauzon, Alexander Carrier, who Barry Trotz brings back, and youngster Spencer Stastny, who has got a bright future and one of the top prospects in the Preds organization, who is expected to contribute this year. There is an interesting mix, guys, of youth and of experience. And I think where, for the person that's not as in tune with the intricacies of the Predators system and prospects as they maybe are with the Titans, the Predators are adding and supplementing with these free agents. And I think, Kayla, we could both agree that the Predators have already started their rebuild a little bit sooner than the Titans did. They've already got a more full cupboard of prospects, and they got a heck of a lot more draft picks. They've got a couple first rounders, a couple second rounders, and a couple thirds to use for next season as well. Plus, they have what every team in the NHL wants is a long-term goalie signed and the next goalie waiting in the wings, and Yaroslav Askarov, and one of the top prospects in quite some time at the goaltender position. They have maneuverability. They're going to have to make some moves to save some money, because it's like they pooled all the bachelorette parties in Nashville and just took all their money and paid for all these free agents with that. But that money has run out. So they're going to have to balance the checkbook a little bit. But there is a lot to be excited about with this team, who is set up for the future and is certainly set up to compete for a Stanley Cup this season.
Yeah, you had mentioned the goaltending situation now, because they did sign Scott Wedgwood to a 2-year deal. Scott Wedgwood, who has recently been with the Dallas Stars, which have really been a great team as well, and he's done a good job as a backup goalie there. So now you look at the situation too on how they might utilize this goalie trio, if you might think of it that way, if you include Askarov in the mix. And at some point, I would think they would tinker with that a little bit, of giving Askarov an opportunity to compete. But we'll see what happens. All though, right now is they believe in UC Saros as netminder number 1 for sure.
Got to get him a place on Wedgwood Houston.
Wedgwood Houston.
That's right.
Yeah, he could get a NIL deal. Oh, yeah, he's a pro.
He's a pro.
He doesn't need
I'm
that.
still looking for an NIL deal.
Right? Can I go back?
Whoever. But no, this is really cool coming from a state team right here, though, Will. Go ahead. We got callers on.
We got Larissa in Nashville, 615-737-1045. What's up, Larissa?
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's great.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
I just want to say, love the station. I think I probably called the other shows. This may be the first or second time that I've called this show.
Give it up,
Welcome.
I just want to say that Tennessee feels electric right now. It's such great energy. It kind of reminds me of Phil Collins' song, Something in the Air, because of the fact that the Vols have done great. You've got things that are happening with the Cats and the Titans and the Preds, and it just feels like the sports-wise, there's something great that's about to happen. And Barry Trotz made boss moves, business. And everyone should feel good about the sports in Tennessee. And I'm going to hang up and just listen for feedback.
Yeah.
Lovely.
You guys have a great day.
Thank you, Larissa.
Thanks, Larissa. You're not wrong.
It has not always been this way either. It's why I have such outstanding character. It's why I'm so well adjusted.
You're battle tested.
Because when I grew up, I had a hockey team that was never in the playoffs, a Titans team that had just had their run end, a Tennessee team that went through its worst season in school history when I went there, and no NCAA tournament. But seriously, it has not always been this way. And she's right that it seems like all the teams synced up when they could do the fun part of the rebuild all at the same time. And this is the fun part of reloading for both the Titans and the Predators moving forward.
No doubt about it. And I even caught the news that Memphis got a 4-star quarterback to commit to them.
Why are you?
Florida?
We're talking about Tennessee sports.
No, well, they're part of it. I know it's the country of Memphis, but they're part of it.
I thought at least you were going to do
We can
NBA
talk about the state of Memphis later.
We ain't did that one yet.
They're suspended for a week for drafting Zach Edey over Dalton.
That's the one thing Larissa didn't bring up right there. It's the Zach Edey thing. But yeah, she's 100% right.
She's on that.
She's 100% correct on that one, man.
It's called momentum.
It is called a little bit of ain't it, Kayla?
If you want to listen to the state of Memphis, there are plenty of outstanding shows that broadcast from that area of Eastern Arkansas.
Hey,
615-737-1045 is our number. There was a telling quote yesterday from Predators general manager Barry Trotz. It's what stuck out to me the most of everything that he said. And we'll talk about that next.
United Structural System is a foundation repair and waterproofing company that has served Middle Tennessee area since 1994. They have more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. So when it's hot and a dry weather, do you notice soil cracking or pulling away from your home, leaving holes or gaps next to the foundation? Are your bricks cracking, walls bowing, doors or windows sticking? These are all signs of a possible foundation issue. Your house may be trying to tell you something, so listen to it, all right? But waterproofing can include drainage and sealers, oftentimes both. Up to 50% of the air you breathe on the first floor of your home is the air that came from your crawl space. Control moisture and create a healthier home for your family by encapsulating the crawl space area, all right? Many repairs like their foundation, piers, and interior drain systems are guaranteed for a lifetime of your home. They've been serving Middle Tennessee since 94, and they aren't going anywhere. So when you work with the new guy in town, you have no guarantees, and they will still be around if you ever have a warranty issue. More than 25,000, I told you before, satisfied residential customers, and they guarantee the best every single time. Call USS. They take the stress out of home repair, and they will keep homes dry and stable. You can simply call them at 615-488-7855 or go online at USSTN.com.
Tuesday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Coming up in a half hour, John Buccigross of ESPN. We'll talk about the National Hockey League with us and answer the question of whether or not the Predators became Stanley Cup contenders yesterday. Guys, there was one quote that stood out. We mentioned it briefly, but Barry Trotz telling the media, when I became GM of the Predators, I said many times I was looking to add serial winners to our franchise. There is perhaps no one who fits that mold more than Steven Stamkos. We're incredibly excited to sign a Hall of Fame player in person on what is now a massive day for the future of our organization. Having twice won the Stanley Cup as a captain, Steven is a proven winner and leader who will make us better on the ice with his production and in the locker room as someone for our younger players to learn from. I think when you talk about signing a 34-year-old forward, guys, this is more of a culture-setting move as much as it is a skill addition, right? This is a guy that in 2024 and 2025 is going to be a 30 to 40 goal scorer. However, it will also help Barry Trotz and the Predators build for the future as well.
Yeah, and I think with him in particular, like you did see his former teammate with Tampa Bay, Ryan McDonough, spend some time up here. He was obviously traded back to Tampa Bay in the offseason, but he was also one of those additions that was kind of a veteran presence. But Stamkos is like a captain, right? Like he has been the real oil that has fueled that Tampa Bay Lightning team through the success that they've had. You had mentioned the 2 Stanley Cups. He's been into the finals 4 times. So this is a guy who it's almost like clockwork, right? But at the same time, he's still producing at a high level. So yeah, the veteran leadership is there. He has that postseason knowledge. As much as we talk about, Roman Josi, who is one of the most consistent defensive players I've ever seen in the National Hockey League. At the level, he's like almost what I look at with Stamkos on an offensive production side. I look at Josi on the defensive production side and just been able to be so stable in what he's been able to do year in and year out. Now you get, a guy like that on the offensive side. and you have a little bit of experience in the postseason now with a guy like Roman Josi, who's been with the Preds, but now with a guy who's actually won 2 cups. And so I think that will add a lot of good tone setting, leadership culture, whatever you want to call it. It just kind of bulks it up a little bit more, because you've got those guys like Philip Forsberg and Josi that have been there, Colton Sissons, been there, done that. But Stamkos has done it at the highest level and actually has those cups.
The relationship, and we'll put in our notes here, between Stamkos and Marchessault, like that was super unique to me too. Hearing the rumors and free agency, you do hear those types of things and I heard this is going to happen. And you speaking of numbers and everything, and saying that these two called each other up and spoke about it, like that in itself sets, I think, the table for everything else moving forward. The communication is there. The understanding of why you're going to Nashville is there too. And I heard him yesterday, I forget who it was, so speaking about just growing their family. They got a young family, and Nashville is going to be a place for it. Like, they understand the reasoning and logic on why they became Nashville Predators, and it's super cool that these dudes know each other. You don't have to worry about egos in situations like this, and you also go into a new building with somebody that you know and have played with too, with Marchessault and Stamkos. So I love this type of stuff. I think Will's 100% correct when he say you got guys now that are setting the template for what your team is going to be moving forward. Every guy after these dudes will be similar, you hope, if their production is still there too. And there's also that side of it too with their age. And I think nowadays the game has just changed so much in every sport that we may have to put age as the last deciding factor and when you sign guys, because the athlete is just so much different now. And it's not just in basketball or football. I think now we're seeing it in other sports too. We used to just look at baseball as a sport of high double-digit years. Now, I mean, you got guys that are in year 11 as about to sign a 4 or 5-year deal with the Preds.
I think it's unique as well, too, because a lot of these guys are starting their careers at 18 in the pros versus 21 in football. Because, 11 years for you starting at 22 years old when you started your NFL career. These are guys that are 11 years into their careers at 17 or 18 at times.
They go right in.
Yeah.
And I think, real quick, I think it is okay for fans to have, Titans fans and Predators fans, to have a little bit of like, okay, we still want you to prove it. Like, these are guys, if you see what they've added in the wide receiver room, a little bit older, right? 30 and above with a couple of those moves. Same with what the Predators are doing. But those are guys who haven't shown a drop-off yet. So in a way, you kind of have to bet on them. But yes, I think it's still fair for fans to say, hey, they still have to go prove it, right? They still have to go out there, and they could do all that stuff in their past. But now they're on our team, and we want to see that production here.
No doubt about it.
Jonathan Marchessault is saying he heard rumors that Steven Stamkos, his former teammate in Tampa, was interested in Nashville. He called him to talk about it, according to reports, and they both decided, we're doing this. Barry Trotz saying the thing about our hockey team, we play fast, we play hard, we're in your face, and the types of players we got today do all that. 615-737-1045. There is one way to describe Steven Stamkos, a category where he is one of 4 players to ever do something in the National Hockey League, joining Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Alex Ovechkin. We got that for you next. And I think there's one area where these 2 seasons we've seen between the Preds and Titans are very similar, and it's good news for fans of this city moving forward. We'll dive into that next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, y'all. And our friends at Hiller, man, they are celebrating 34 years of business this year. Yes, they're bringing it in. They're bringing the celebration to you with their birthday bash all of this month until July 31st. Yes, it's going to get you all the way through football and everything, okay? You can get free smart thermostats with select HVAC systems, free water tests on your home, so you just never know. Get that checked out. Free leak detection and shut-off valves with tankless water heaters, offers, which are clutch. And also this, buy 10 and get 2 free landscape lights also. They will help you install them at your crib. So celebrate Hiller's birthday bash this month, man. I told you until the end of this month, July 31st. And you can visit them at happyhiller.com today for more details.
What's going on? 701. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Nashville Predators pulled out the big bank yesterday, signing multi-time Stanley Cup champion Steven Stamkos, 2023 playoff MVP Jonathan Marchessault, and defenseman Brady Shea. The 34-year-old Stamkos spent his entire career in Tampa Bay with the Lightning, where he went to 4 Stanley Cup finals, hoisting the cup in 2020 and 2021. He also led the NHL in goal scoring in 2010 and 12. The NBA had some stars signed while others were traded, as a prolific shooter Klay Thompson was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, signing a 3-year, $50 million deal with a third year as a player option. Jason Tatum also signing a 5-year, $314 million contract in 2002. The Celtics were purchased for just $360 million, and almost double that figure is invested in 2 players in 2025. It was reported yesterday that the Celtics were prepared to sell a majority stake of the team by 2025, with a close on the sale and, quote, all shares in 2028. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2, 7 a.m. in Nashville on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. Joining us in 20 minutes, ESPN's John Buccigross. We'll talk some Nashville Predators and NHL hockey with us. Did the Preds immediately just become an overnight Stanley Cup contender? Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea all added. We will get John Buccigross's take coming up here in just a few minutes. 615-737-1045 is our number. Guys, Steven Stamkos is one of only 4 active players to record 12 seasons with at least 1 point per game. The others, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Alex Ovechkin. Decent company for the newest forward of the Nashville Predators.
Changing our profile, right, Kayla? I mean, goodness. Scoring, huge part of this. But, hey, I defer to you on this one, Kayla. You go ahead, take off.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, you think about big names in the NFL, because we talk a lot of NFL Titans here, right, in Nashville. And when you look at those 3 names that he just mentioned on the hockey side of things, and 2 of those guys, by the way, Pittsburgh guys, right?
Yeah.
Guys, you're very familiar with.
Don't remind us.
My Penguins jerseys at home.
Malky and Sidney Crosby. But those are names you quickly associate with the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? Yeah. They're winning. They've been there a long time. They're kind of a brand in terms of that Penguins team. And then you look at Alex Ovechkin, Washington Capitals. I mean, he's doing it in his 40s as well, continues to play at a high level. You associate him quickly with the Washington Capitals. What Steven Stamkos has been able to do for a market that was not necessarily always known as a hockey market is he's been able to put a stamp on that and say, Tampa Bay wins championships, and his name is directly associated now with the Tampa Bay Lightning because he has been able to do it, and not just do it once. He's done it twice, and he's been there 4 times. So I think what's interesting about him, too, is he kind of helped put Tampa Bay on the map in terms of, a consistent winning team.
Yeah.
And so I think that's special, too, that he's been able to really create something there. And now he goes to his first team since he was drafted by the Tampa Bay Lightning in his career, and he's ready to start anew. And so I think it's exciting for him, too, and he mentioned it yesterday when we talked to him via Zoom. It's a new challenge for him. It's something different, and if he can go and help another team win a championship in a whole different place, just think about his legacy then. And that's kind of the things you have to think of as a professional athlete. You never change teams. But I would think sometimes guys that have done it one place, it's pretty cool to think, hey, what's the challenge if I can go somewhere else and get it done?
I mean, and somebody that's done it before. I mean, think about LeBron and his situation, right? Like that. I think that's what Kevin Durant is chasing. I mean, he went and jumped to Golden State to get one. Like he wants his own type of championship. Others have done it before like that too, but you're right. The profile of this team has changed. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. I'm sure season tickets right now are probably selling through the roof.
They hope so, right?
Yeah, 100%. This is some cool stuff for Nashville.
I think, guys, that even in the last 5 years, Nashville has become so much more of a destination city for free agent pro athletes. And I think at this point, when all things are equal, doesn't this city just get the tiebreaker?
Yeah.
Because not only is this a place where people want to move, but really rich athletes who are very elite at what they do and know they're not going to be bothered on the street as well when they're spotted in public want to be here. I think this is night and day from the way it was certainly a decade ago, but I would even say in the last 5 years. And look, I get it. The variable of both teams having a lot of cap space, the Titans and the Predators this offseason, is going to make this place look like the destination in the country. And I know that there are other variables to this, of course, but I really just think that this city is going to now, for the foreseeable future, attract some of the best athletes in the United States simply because they want to live here and they want to have families here because this place is awesome. And we've known it for years. Yeah. Anyone who's lived here for more than, a year or two, but it's incredible that this place has become one of the destination pro sports cities that athletes want to be in America. I never thought that would happen growing up here.
I was listening to I was watching NASCAR this weekend because the race was here in Nashville at the Nashville Motor Speedway, right? Or the Super Speedway. Mm-hmm. And it was fascinating to listen to the broadcast to your point about the city. And they were coming back from commercial, and I don't know who was doing the broadcast for it or whatever, but they was just like, welcome back to Nashville. I'm telling you, an entertainment mecca. And it didn't say just sports. It just said an entertainment mecca. So you get virtually every single hot spot that you want here. You get the nightlife, you get the sports, you get the people, you get the city, you get the value that a lot of people are looking for. And now you got other major sports. You got to consider NASCAR a sport of relevance, right?
Oh, and motorsports here, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So to hear them say that on a national broadcast about Nashville, even with the rain and stoppage and stuff like that, an entertainment mecca, I thought that was a unique way of phrasing all things that, to Will's point a second ago, he just talked about what Nashville is capable of. I don't know how much growth we're going to have, but it doesn't seem to be stopping because there's areas of this city, of this of Middle Tennessee that haven't been tapped into, but the people that want to be here because of the city. Like, we're not talking about, I'm just here for a job like Green Bay. Think about Green Bay, right? This isn't Green Bay. This isn't, I was going to say Cleveland, but Cleveland is actually decent. This isn't one of those small market teams that you just say to yourself, all right, we got to go do a job and get the heck out, go to our vacation home. Right. People are actually living here in the offseason. I think that's super cool and unique. And those guys to get on the phone and talk about coming to Nashville, not save an organization, but to be a part of this city and growth and the change, I thought it was super cool for the Nashville Preds. And again, we got to this spot because of what the Preds did in the playoff run a few years back, right? That's what put everything on the map. So I'm glad to kind of see this come full circle for the Preds to be relevant going into this 2024-25 season.
What I think will be interesting is, so, yeah, you can attract certain players here, and especially players who are kind of in the end part of their career, right? Because if they're going to make a move, they probably are going to end up here or would like to end up here. And their family, they're looking into what's the best place. That's what Stamkos also highlighted is, my family feels like this would be a good place
and it is.
to move to, and it is. Yeah. And now what's going to be interesting is if the Titans and Preds can capitalize off of being able to get those types of players here, because maybe it is Nashville and maybe it is a better place to live and it is tax-free and all those things. So can you start to build off of getting those types of guys and start winning? And then imagine if you've got teams that are actually winning cups and winning Lombardi trophies, like, you could only imagine what the level of greatness could be in this city long term if that happens.
Yeah.
And that's the next step. That's
Yeah.
what needs to come out of
Sure.
all of the talent that has been added by the Titans and the Predators this offseason is you also don't want to be known as the city that'll pay a bunch of money for really good players who guys go there to sunset their careers and retire.
Yep.
Yeah, that sucks. The winning element of it has to be a part of this, and that's on the football side, and that's also on the Pred side too.
You can already see if Steven Stamkos is not a success in a Predators jersey, he will be the Randy Moss of the Nashville Predators. I'm not putting that into the universe. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Steven Stamkos still has a lot more left in the tank than Randy Moss did when he got here to be a Tennessee Titan. But that is the next step now. This city has set itself up to be contenders in pro sports if all of their aggressiveness pays off. And the Titans have a little bit further to go than the Preds do, first of all. There's a lot of work for the Titans to do. But the Preds, at least right now, have put themselves in contention this year, much more than the Titans have, to be a contender in 2024.
So you say the Titans have a little bit further to go. The question is it because you still got to figure out what your quarterback is?
100%.
The Preds have their quarterback or their players on the team that can.
Like this is your team.
If the Preds were making these moves with Yaroslav Askarov as their starting goaltender, we would be saying the same things about them as we are about the Titans. Saying, they have all these pieces. They've added all this skill that's aging veteran talent, but none of it matters if they don't have a goaltender. And that is still the case. However, they at least have a bit more of a proven commodity at goaltender, where we can say it might not be worth an 8-year deal, but we at least know UC Saros is a solid NHL netminder who just needs to be better in the postseason.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Coming up next, ESPN's John Buccigross will join us. We'll ask all these questions to him when we come back. To the Predators just become a Stanley Cup contender? We'll ask John Buccigross that next.
It's Ramon and Kayla here from Window Nation. Here to tell you right now, you can buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years. If you did not know, it is getting hot outside, has been hot. And cooling your home is more expensive than ever, okay? If you have old, inefficient windows that are costing you hundreds of dollars a year in energy bills, you probably need to switch to Window Nation, right, Kayla?
That is exactly right. And all they do is windows, Ramon. So they are the experts. They have installed, in fact, over 200,000 windows. Just last year alone, that is 40 times more than the average window company. So they'll do it right. And over 20,000 online positive reviews. They have comprehensive lifetime warranties on the entire window, including the glass. So if you are looking to do something in terms of saving money this summer when you're pumping up that AC, check out new windows from Window Nation. You can call them at 866-90-NATION or simply go online to windownation.com.
Tuesday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, and the Nashville Predators made some major moves yesterday. We're joined now by ESPN's John Buccigross discussing that and breaking down everything the Preds did with their trio of stars they brought to town yesterday. John, good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you.
John, did the Nashville Predators become a legitimate contender yesterday with the moves that they made?
I'm not sure. I don't think quite a Stanley Cup. I mean, they were already a contender, obviously, beat a team with almost 100 points. And they're probably a 100-point team now. But, the question remains, I always frame it, can they beat Edmonton in a 7-game series? Can they beat this team in a 7-game series? And I think, as a result, they probably could beat a couple more teams in a 7-game series, in the playoffs if everything works out and they don't have any mass injuries and they get there, which they should. And that's the question that Barry Trotz and his staff will try to figure out as they go forward. And obviously this is not the team that would be the opening night playoff team if they were to make the playoffs next year. They would add at the deadline. They would figure out, where we need to get better. So I'm just a little concerned at the center position, what they're going to do with their lines. And, 'cause when it comes to wings, they're pretty strong and their defense is pretty strong, but I'm just concerned. Hockey is so important up the middle. The center position is so important. I'm just wondering if there's still anything else they might try to do to strengthen that.
John, in your opinion, how much does Steven Stamkos have left in the tank, and what are the Predators getting in the former Tampa Bay captain?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Tampa didn't think he could play center anymore, with his age. And that's the thing. If you could still play center and O'Reilly and him, that's a pretty couple good, centermen. But again, they are a little bit older. Speed is not the strength of the team right now as they sign a couple of older guys. But, he's certainly a guy that can blast the puck. 40 goals last year, certainly playing with Nikita Kucherov. Anybody's going to be a little better offensively than they would be without him. So that's a question mark. They have 3 right-handed shots, so I wonder what they're going to do in the power play with Forsberg and Stamkos. They're kind of a little bit of the same guy. Marchessault is also a right-handed shot. He doesn't quite play the same one-time game they do. He could roam around. But I just wonder what they're going to do with that power play, especially when Stamkos is used to that one side, pounding one-timers. Is Forsberg going to be okay with that? Is he going to have to play a different position? Are there enough pucks out there? This is just, there are a few of those little questions that they do have to kind of figure out.
ESPN's John Buccigross joining us now on RKW. Okay, Bucci, so when it comes to Jonathan Marchessault, and you had mentioned him, where he'll fit. Overall, though, do you like this ad? And we talk a lot about Stamkos, but this is a guy also who knows how to win, right?
Yeah, Conn Smythe winner, Stanley Cup champion, 40 goals a year ago. Will either of them get 40 goals again? That's a question that they have. We have to figure out. But even if they get in the mid-30s, that's obviously a very good ad. A team that can obviously a better offensive team than they were the day before for sure. And even Brady Shea is a really good player. He's probably their second best defenseman now. After Roman Josi right there. So that's a huge ad, too, to fortify that defense. They should have 4 really good defensemen, top 4 pair, which you love to have. And, again, they'll keep, Barry Trotz is obviously going for victories right away. And so, again, they're in a really good position. Now, I just wonder if he's going to try to I wonder if he might try to package some of these young guys together and try to get himself, another high-impact player. It's going to be really interesting. But that's what's fun about being a Predator fan now. You have an organization and a guy running the team that's just really going for it here, really aggressive. And that's a good feeling as opposed to going the other way, whatever sport it is, when you don't feel like your team is going for it. And Boston Red Sox fans are going through that right now. They don't think their ownership and team is really trying to win like this. And so that's a good feeling for Preds fans, just knowing that they're going for it.
Speaking of being aggressive, doing that with giving UC Saros an 8-year extension. Look, Bucci, he's been good in terms of overall, he's found a lot of success, but there's times where he doesn't start the season great, and then he puts it into gear, and then you look at the postseason, maybe not as many wins in terms of series wins as you would like to see. Did you like the move, and is there still a possibility that, he's not here when 8 years is up?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was surprised. That's a long term. It's a big number. Obviously, Askarov is coming as a young goaltender in the minors. He's probably wondering now, where's my place on the team? But of course, he is so young at 21, and that is a young age. But I still wonder if I talked about, does he have one more big move in him, Barry Trotz, and is Askarov a part of that in that deal? Like I said, do you trade Evangelista? Do you trade the young goaltender? Do you trade a future number one and try to get a big-time centerman, another big-time forward? I just wonder if there's something like that floating around here in Barry Trotz's head. There's someone they have identified and look at someone that, that's the final piece. Or that's another very important piece, like I said, in the center position. Or do they feel Tommy Novak can step up and be a big-time, playoff type of player? So it's going to be really fun watching to see what Trotz does and the Predators do, because that was a bold, aggressive day yesterday, and no one really saw that coming. They knew they were in the weeds, but, when Barry Trotz took over, you wonder, maybe the Preds are going to kind of tear it down and start over and start to build it back up. But they go out last year, they signed, O'Reilly. That was quite the move, and then they do this yesterday. So it's really, again, I just don't think anybody saw this coming in Nashville.
If you were going to add another center, Bucci, and somebody like you've been mentioning, if they could package a deal up, what or who are a couple of names that you'd put out there?
Yeah, that would depend on what that team is doing. Is that team going to say, let's step back? Are we going to rebuild it, or do we want to shed some salary? And that's, you can look all around the league, and everybody always has that example of, you never know when the temperature changes in the front office and they decide, let's just take a step back. So, every team out there would have a center that they could use. And obviously they would love to develop their own young guy who's fast and quick and productive and a little bit cheap right now before you can't sign everybody to these big contracts. So that's something that they're going to have to kind of look at and identify. Is that person in their system? Do they see somebody coming on pretty quickly who by the end of next year could be that guy? Or again, will they have on the whiteboard in the office, let's look at these couple of guys. Like last year would have been Lindholm, right? Every team was looking at Elias Lindholm because they knew he was going to be a free agent. Well, then, you eventually went to Vancouver in a trade, and then the Boston Bruins signed him to a long-term deal yesterday. So it's someone like that out there that they'll look at and try to. Of course, the ultimate prize is Leon Draisaitl, right? He's in the last year of his contract, and a guy that, is he going to sign in Edmonton or not? So again, he has everybody on that board. He's going to try to figure that out and then see what Andrew Burnett can do. He's a great offensive coach. He's got a great way with people, and it's his job now to figure out how to get there's only one puck out there, and he's got to figure out where guys are going to be. Are they happy there? And he doesn't have any disgruntled players.
ESPN's John Buccigross joining us this morning talking Preds. John, you mentioned something a second ago as far as like players trading off young talent. The question I have for you, because they've signed some older players, and I mentioned age, right, and not play, 30-plus-year-old guys, and you mentioned trading away some younger guys. How has the athlete changed in the hockey world to where you can feel comfortable enough to trade away young talent potentially and sign older guys the way they could moving forward?
Yeah, like every sport, guys are definitely a little more productive, a little older. There's always exceptions, but 34, 35, you can certainly still play and certainly still produce. We saw it with Stamkos last year as those guys approached 35 this coming season. But that's a number that's real though, and you definitely still slow down. And it's a fast game, and come playoff time, the game gets faster, and speed just helps defensively. Now, again, as you get deeper and deeper to playoffs, it starts to slow down again because guys get worn down, and you want wisdom, and you want guile, and you want guys who can figure out a way to win. But I do think that's going to be a little bit of a factor, is their speed. Barry Trotz always said, you guys go find me the talent, and I'll fill the bottom six with guys. And there's tons of guys out there that he can, if that becomes a concern, he can go get faster. But yeah, you do have to be a little bit careful. It's one reason why Tampa didn't want to go deep with Stamkos, because they just felt like, well, now our best guys are starting to get over 30. We got to get younger. So they got Gensel. Then they traded Sergachev. They got a young Connor Geekie who's 21 years old. So like, you always got to kind of think about that, because those young guys, that young speed, those young legs, that drives the team. You got to be fast in this sport. It's like football. You got to be fast. And that will be something that we'll have to keep an eye on for sure.
I guess you can say the Panthers signed a big three yesterday, right, with the players that they brought in. And essentially what I'm getting at is this, too. How do these guys fit into a locker room that already has Roman Josi and Philip Forsberg? Have you ever seen this type of dynamic be signed to a team, and the flow and I guess the DNA of the team somewhat remain the same?
Yeah, I mean, $25 million worth of players yesterday, 2 40-goal scorers. No team has ever added 2 40-goal scorers like they did. That's the first time. So, but again, these are, especially Stamkos, you're talking about an uber people personality. Brady Shea is a laid-back kid from Minnesota. He's not going to ruffle any feathers. He's just a good player both ways. Great kid. Jonathan Marchessault is one of those guys, always had a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. His career got a late start. Never thought, probably when he was in his mid to late 20s, that he would become a Conn Smythe winner, Stanley Cup champion, and make this kind of money. This is definitely a surprise. But he's got a more of a pugnacious personality. But it's going to be, again, hockey players, they tend to be deferential. They tend to be ultra, respectful. Of course, the question, you don't want them to be too respectful coming in. So again, it is a challenge. Anytime you bring new people in, it doesn't always work. It's not a lock. It's just going to be harmonious. We're going to figure out everybody where they need to be, where they like to be. Are they okay with this role? And those are things that you just don't know till you get into it. They could be a great guy, but if they're just a little bummed that they're not playing here, or they're not on that wing, or they're not in that position on the power play, again, that's a negative. That's a bit of a drain. You don't want that. So again, that's the big challenge for Andrew Burnett and the organization, is getting this thing to click, because it could take a while. It might not just happen right away.
ESPN's John Buccigross is our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. John, the last time we caught up with you, I know you were coming off of a fun night in downtown Nashville, I believe with PK Subban, and I think sometimes we take for granted just how much people who are not from here want to come here and want to spend a weekend, or in this case, spend maybe the ends of their careers here. Just from the outsider's perspective, John, how much of an advantage does Nashville have in just the city that we are talking to people in right now, and the allure of talented athletes, both we're talking about the Titans perspective and the Preds perspective, just wanting to live and work in Nashville, Tennessee?
Yeah, I think it definitely fits the hockey player for sure, especially a lot of, whether it's small town Canadian, whether it's just that country rural feel. That's kind of a lot of romantic view of people who love country music. They kind of see that as Tennessee as the ideal. The tax-free portion obviously helps. Being in the middle of the country, the travel that way is pretty good. You don't really ever have that long coast-to-coast flight. So as opposed to the extreme east or west, the east is certainly the best travel because all the teams are so compressed. The west is the worst travel. But to be in the middle of the country and to be around so much stuff, and like I said, the tax-free, the climates, and just that whole Tennessee vibe, the excitement of Nashville, and really the whole state, what it has to offer. I think it just appeals to hockey players a lot. Just that vibe. And I think it's ready-made. So that's where Nashville, I think, does have an advantage for the hockey player especially. I can't speak as much to the other sports. Not around them as much, don't cover them as much as the hockey player. It's just Nashville and Tennessee. I think it just appeals to the hockey player.
John Buross of ESPN joining us on RKW. And look, great coverage for you guys in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and what a playoff run it was for so many of these teams. But obviously with the Florida Panthers raising it in the end, how exciting was it for you guys to just be able to see like hockey on a different level? I think like the game is growing, and to see that type of final where you see Edmonton come back and give it a run, and when you didn't think they were going to be able to. I mean, what did you think of the overall final?
Yeah, I mean, to have the sport's best player, and especially the story around him trying to get his first title, that's just top billing stuff. Whether it's a concert downtown in Nashville, it's just different when this top billing artist is in town, as opposed to a really good artist, but not quite that same, that electricity. And that's what McDavid brought to the final, was just the game's best player on display every night, for 7 nights. And obviously for Florida, they have a star power, not maybe that level, of course, but enough where people knew the names. And of course, Florida never won the Stanley Cup before, so you have that. A team that's never won one, the player who's never won one. Someone's going to win one. So there's an interesting story at the end, and one player's going to be disappointed, and that's what we tune in for: the conflict, the intrigue. The person who's going to be disappointed and the person who's going to be elated. And so it had all that. So yeah, the sport's in a good place. I think ESPN and TNT, we brought the game to a new level, having 2 different partners as well, gives that a bit of a rivalry and pushes them to do better and better and better, as opposed to the past. One person could always afford the whole thing. Now you have, 2 people involved trying to push the sport forward. So yeah, the sport's in a great place. Young players constantly infiltrate the league, and it's exciting to be a part of, that's for sure.
John Buccigross of ESPN has been our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. John, we appreciate the time always. And again, hat tip to you all on just a great season. Enjoyed following along through the playoffs and through the entire year. Great stuff.
Thanks, Butchie.
Yeah, it's great to be on with you guys without a slight headache.
That's right. You were having, what was it, Manhattans of old fashions last time you were in town or something like that?
New fashion, old fashion, middle fashion, yeah.
It was good, is
all
what
the
you're saying.
fashion.
I love it.
High fashion.
I love it. Thank you, John.
Peace.
All right, there's John Buccigross with us this morning. I think that's interesting about the vibe of hockey players, and he's 100% right. I hadn't even thought of it that way, that hockey players are often rural-raised Canadian or Midwestern people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the allure of country music, but also the farmland.
Yeah.
You have a city. Like, it is interesting that this city does just fit hockey players.
It does. He bring up that type of stuff, and we've said it before, like Nashville, you can get whatever you're looking for. You live in a high-rise downtown, you go get a piece of land out in Franklin somewhere, or Hendersonville. You can go be on the lake, you can be wherever the heck you want to here, and it's all chill for the most part, man. I love it. Again, for the people that live here, we can go to Broadway, get our doses, and go back home. If you want to live that life, you can do that too. And we've seen profiles of these players here in the city. I know D-Hop is a guy, but see him walking out with Morgan Wallen, seeing the headliners that come across, and hockey playing is part too. I know we're all football for the most part when it comes down to the South and how we look at it, but the Preds, again, they jump-started this entire situation of entertainment mecca for the most part.
And they look at the other teams that have won it recently, and those are teams that are down here in the South. I mean, and yes, Florida is way south, but they are teams that are non-traditional hockey teams, if you want to really get technical on it. And they've been winning. So it's like for Nashville, if you have all this stuff now that you're saying, like, why not bring these guys in and people want to come here? Now you have to take advantage of that because you have all the resources. You have the type of GM who's going to go all in. So now you got to make it happen. And there's different personalities on hockey teams. And I've been on hockey teams with a lot of stars, and it doesn't always work, right? So they do have to make it work too in terms of meshing. You can have all the talent you want, but you still have to make it work as a team.
615-737-1045. Coming up next with a bunch of mid-30s hockey players, maybe March or so, early 30s, being added to the Nashville Predators yesterday. We're going to play a game of Name the Team They Retired With. I've got 11 names from hockey, football, and baseball. I can maybe add a couple more. We'll get basketball in there as well. We'll get the big four in there as well. I'm going to give you a name. You're going to tell me where they retired, and we're going to do that next. Tuesday morning rolls on, wrapping up the first half of the show on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW. In 15 minutes, you'll hear what Steven Stamkos told one television program about how he decided to leave Tampa Bay to come to Nashville. It is an interesting story, to say the least. But right now, guys, we have got some names for you on a list. Players who retired in weird places. And Titans legend Randy Moss is one of the players that is on this list. In a lot of circles, the Titans are known as the team that has really weird pictures of guys in jerseys, right? Like Adrian Peterson in a Titans jersey looks odd.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Randy Moss in a Titans jersey just doesn't look right. Andre Johnson,
Julio,
who played for 75% of the AFC South. He was a Colt, a Texan, and a Titan. Julio Jones, all these guys. So this is players who retired in weird places. All three of you are going to play this.
Love this.
I am your master of ceremonies, as per usual. So I'm going to give you a name, and you're going to give me the team that they retired with. There's one player that I will accept two answers on because it was baseball, and they played for two different teams their last season. So that one I will allow both. I will keep score as we go. So let's start with the Nashville Predators, since this is a Nashville Predators game. David Legwand, who played 14 of his 16 years with the Nashville Predators. Look, I know this is going to be a difficult one. However, David Legwand.
Edmonton.
Okay. Kayla?
I will say I want to go like with the Florida team. No, I'll go with the Colorado Avalanche.
Robert Walsh.
What if I don't know hockey teams? Give me a place he would play. Will
Anaheim.
No, I don't like. Ramon said it.
Just pick a major city in the United States.
Let's go with Buffalo.
The Sabres.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Get the hell out of here.
that's what I'm talking about. You're pulling my leg.
That is
You're pulling my
You were
leg.
100% right. David
The guy that
Legwand
knows
retired
the least about
a
hockey
Buffalo
on the show.
Sabre.
I hate this guy. He would get
I love
that
that.
right. He would get it.
Known-
Good job, bro.
Known puck knower. If you know Robert Walsh, you know that guy knows puck.
Right? Do that hockey.
Joe Namath. Where did Joe Namath retire?
Rams.
Let's go.
I knew that one.
Joe Namath? Miami Dolphins.
See that I was thinking the same thing because anybody that stayed up in New York is going to want to go down to Florida.
Yeah.
I'm going to. I think I'm going to also go Miami.
Rams is correct.
Yeah.
Rams is correct.
Okay.
Is random
St.
to me.
Louis or L.A.?
L.A.
L.A.
Yeah,
okay,
LA
okay.
Rams,
Well, you were
before
right.
they were
It's a
St. Louis.
warm weather city. Okay, all right.
Torrey Holt. Where did Torrey Holt retire? We got to start moving along this a little bit.
Arizona.
Okay. Anybody? Kayla? Robert?
I suck at this. Let's say the Panthers because he is from North Carolina.
Okay. Kayla?
Yeah, I was also going to go Florida.
Which team in Florida?
Panthers.
Torrey Holt?
The football player.
Oh, the football. Sorry, I'm in another. It's like
Yeah, we switched sports.
I'm in another era here. Miami then.
The Jacksonville Jaguars
Jags?
is where Torrey Holt
He
retired.
went to the Jags?
That's right.
Boo.
This is too many names.
Shaquille
with too many
O'Neal.
sports.
Where did Shaquille O'Neal retire?
Oh.
I remember this well, actually.
I think it was Cleveland.
No.
It was it Atlanta Hawks?
Kayla?
Orlando?
Cleveland is correct.
Yes.
Oh.
Robert Walsh takes a 2-1 lead.
Boston, Phoenix, and yeah.
LaDainian
Okay.
Tomlinson. Where did
Ooh.
LaDainian Tomlinson finish his career? This one's a little bit easier.
LT finished his career. Jets.
Yeah, the Jets.
Well, that's easy now. If it's the Jets.
Kayla would like to nominate the Chiefs as her answer.
You all get one.
Yeah.
All right. Jets is correct. That one was easy. Let's go baseball. John Smoltz. I will accept two answers on this one.
Colorado.
I will accept two answers on John
Where did
Smoltz.
Smoltz go after Braves?
This was easy for me, but I'm a Braves fan.
Yeah, I mean. Oh, shoot.
I'm going to go with
Cubs?
the Brewers.
Kayla?
Cubs?
The Cardinals or Red Sox would have both
that's
been
right, the
acceptable
Sox.
answers. Red Sox was the main
Yep.
one there.
My mom always thought he was
Yeah.
hot.
Let's go back to basketball. Sure.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson. Where did the answer?
Memphis?
No. Memphis. No. Memphis. No. Yeah, Memphis.
Oh, I can't wait for that to be in the
What is
open.
going?
I can't wait for that to be in the open. I'm also going to go Memphis. Wait, no. Memphis.
You're all correct.
Memphis.
The two that Ramona's got, you've all gotten. Let's go back to the
I said that
NFL.
first.
Sean Alexander.
Oh yeah,
That's as easy
because
for
he was
Kayla.
with the Seahawks.
Okay,
No, he
Kayla,
was
you
with
go
the
first.
You
Seahawks.
go first.
Yeah,
Arizona?
Yeah, we want Arizona too.
Arizona too.
No, I don't know that one.
Nope,
though.
you're all
you guys
wrong.
shouldn't go
Washington.
That way.
Wow.
Come on.
He went to Washington?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Get long lost
Let's
at that point.
let's turn the clock way back.
All right.
All right. Where did Babe Ruth finish his career?
Boston.
Jail.
Wait, what?
I need this one is tricky. I need the nickname of the team.
The nickname.
The franchise that Babe Ruth finished his career with.
I'll say the Indians.
Cubs.
Wait, didn't he go to Boston?
I need the
started.
franchise.
Oh, dang it.
I need the franchise.
The Braves.
He finished as a Brave.
He did.
That's correct. The Boston Braves.
Boston
'Cause they
Braves.
were-
That's the tricky part.
All right, ask us Randy Moss. Because I know the answer.
That actually is the next one on my list. Titans legend Randy Moss. Where did he? Well, now you go last then because you say you know
go
the
first.
answer.
Go first.
No, we have to keep this moving.
Randy Moss finished at let's go Dallas. No, he didn't.
Kayla, go.
Titans.
It was the 49ers. You played the
49ers
Super
is
Bowl with.
correct.
Did he?
Lost to the
Okay.
Ravens.
Why did I think,
49ers is
he
correct.
Ended here.
Robert and Kayla are tied at 4. Ramona's
Ask
2.
us another one.
Vince Carter,
Ooh, Raptors.
It was Atlanta, the Hawks.
Yeah, it was the Hawks.
Phoenix,
What?
Phoenix Suns.
Why?
I believe that's correct, right?
Vince Carter.
Vince Carter.
You could be right. I could be definitely wrong. No, it was the Hawks.
It was the Hawks. All right, all right.
Hawks. Hey!
Retroactively.
Oh,
Retroactively, y'all both get this right.
I got
All right.
3.
So Robert's in the lead. Ed Reed.
Ed-
Burt's 100. I should not have given this. This
Yeah,
is a total
yeah,
would bring it up.
what the
No,
heck?
I gave you Sean Alexander. You got it wrong.
I didn't know that.
Ed Reed.
He was
Jets.
washed up.
Jets.
He signed. Okay, you are correct about the Jets. He signed with the Houston Texans. Then they cut him.
All right,
and then he
we're
signed
taking
with
Ed
the
Reed
Jets.
out of it. This doesn't count anymore.
Oh, because I get it right.
because Bert confirmed it before whatever.
Ed Reed.
Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing.
Ooh.
A Snickers commercial.
Houston.
He a Magic?
Let's go to the Kings.
He was with the Seahawks or the Sonics and Magic.
Magic is correct.
Magic?
Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh,
Kid.
bless his
Cincinnati
heart.
Reds.
I think it was.
I'm so bad at this.
I think it
Cubs.
was. No, I think it was Cincy.
Sure.
Bert.
the Cubs.
He finished with the Chicago White Sox.
See, that I would not have known.
Did he actually play or he just got paid?
He played.
That's I
Final
did not
one
really even
between
think
Robert
about
and
that.
Kayla. This is our tiebreaker. Terrell Owens, pride of the University of
Oh,
Tennessee at
shoot.
Chattanooga.
Oh,
Where
I
did
think
T.O. finish his career?
you go first.
Oh,
Oh, I
God.
know this one.
You guys.
Yeah,
I know this one.
of course you do.
Nikes. Pittsburgh.
Nope.
I think it was the Seahawks.
It was the Bills.
Cincinnati Bengals is where Terrell
Ew.
Owens finished his career.
He definitely worked out.
Yeah,
with
him
the
and
Seahawks.
Chad was together. That's
Robert
right.
and Kayla split the win. 615-737-1045. Steven Stamkos audio that was interesting yesterday on his process of leaving Tampa Bay. We got that for you next.
What's going on? 9:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. The Nashville Predators going for it, signing multi-time Stanley Cup champion Steven Stamkos, 2023 playoff MVP forward Jonathan Marchessault, and defenseman Brady Shea. The 34-year-old Stamkos spent his entire career with the Tampa Bay Lightning, where he went to 4 Stanley Cups, hoisting the cup in 2020 and 2021. He also led the NHL in goal scoring in 2010 and 12. The NBA also had some excited signings and trades yesterday, as prolific shooter Klay Thompson was traded to the Dallas Mavericks, signing a 3-year, $50 million deal, with the third year being a player option. Jason Tatum also signing a 5-year, $314 million contract, a supermax in 2020. 2002, the Celtics were purchased for just $360 million. Now, in 2025, they have almost double that figure invested in just 2 players. It was reported yesterday that the Celtics will prepare to sell a majority stake of the team by 2025 and close on a sale of all of the shares in 2028. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, and hour number 3 is off and running on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. All right, I did not get all these players right that finished their careers in places. Ken Griffey Jr. finished as a Mariner, and what was the other one? Shaq finished as a Celtic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Demerit me. I wasn't the line for half of these.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, you were. You were. I'm not going to let you make that excuse.
Yeah,
you're not that young. You ain't that young no more, Will.
Oh, man. 615-737-1045 is our number. I cannot believe Kayla did not call me out on that immediately.
That's why I was confused, because I was like, Cincinnati was the last place I really remembered. But yeah, he did technically retire.
He retired as a Mariner. That's awesome right there, man.
Played like 38 games in 2010.
Yeah.
Was a White Sox in 08.
Was a White Sox. I don't remember the White Sox.
Nobody remembers White Sox.
I remember that one. I put that on the Immaculate Grid all the time for Mariners and White Sox, because I could probably name less Seattle Mariners players than any other team in the history of baseball.
Yeah, you are playing the Immaculate Grid.
I am as far away from there as I possibly could be in baseball.
I could care less about the White Sox.
If you guys could retire anywhere, where would you retire?
As far as life or sports?
If you could retire anywhere, where you've already retired from sport, what, are you going to change your answer
Nashville.
from the Steelers?
No. You're talking about like the last team I would want to go to.
Sure.
Okay, the last team I would want. I'm going to be real with you. It probably would have been the Titans. I did say that. My last year, if the offer didn't come back right from Pittsburgh, I was telling my agent, hey, man, my kids, it was all about my kids and my wife. Nice. My kids are getting older. Mm-hmm. We need to be settled. RJ's going to middle school. Miles is up and coming also. Sure. If the offer didn't come back right from Pittsburgh, I was going to say, see what you can do with the Titans. And I don't even know if they were interested in me, but that was going to be, that was my conversation. I was on the phone with Ron. It was around, I was a little bit earlier in the year than this. Mm-hmm. But I was in a situation where I was talking to Ron. I was just like, man, I don't know what these numbers going to come back like. And then the next day, They gave me a number. I was like,
answer.
Yeah. But it would have been Nashville.
Nice. I like it.
Kayla, Will, Bert?
Well, I didn't play sports, but I'd have 2 houses. For the wintertime, I'd be in Palm Springs for the winter. And then for the summer, I would be in Missoula, Montana, where I worked for 3 years.
Montana?
Oh, yeah.
All right, then.
Missoula, Montana, baby.
Honestly, Tampa's not a bad place to go retire. I feel like it's a little less, glamorous than Miami, obviously. But it's also a lot cheaper than Miami. You can save a lot of that money that you made during your playing career by just going to Tampa.
If I'm retiring, though, I'm taking it with me. My kids ain't getting nothing. I work for this money. Bury me with it. All of my nice things. I would want to be buried and retire in Key West. I feel like once this is all over with, I'm just never going to shave, never going to cut my hair, never going to put sunscreen on again and just be a brown leather-skinned man. Just live outside, sell shaved coconuts. I feel like I could pull that off.
Tough. I do have another city in mind, though. Arizona.
Yeah, you like
Phoenix,
Arizona.
Phoenix there, Scottsdale.
You don't want to be there in the summer. Though.
Nah.
You'd need a summer home somewhere else.
Oh, I can go to was it Flagstaff?
My other one would be
Yeah.
San Diego for sure.
Oh my God, why did you?
You
take
just need a lot of money to live there.
Oh, I know.
Holy
Well,
smokes.
San Diego's just a little bit more affordable.
In this scenario,
Oh,
I played
it's
for 12
not.
years.
It's not.
Dude, that is the most expensive place,
I love
period.
San Diego.
Good.
Look
He's
at
like,
my boy.
I'll be there.
Will's like, hell yeah.
Hide the money, y'all. There's
I'll be there.
no, not in real life.
Right?
615-737-1045. Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea are Nashville Predators. Is there a legitimate reason to think the Predators are Stanley Cup contenders in 2024 and 2025?
When you go into free agency, signing 3 of the top 5 or 3 of the top 7, however you want to look at it, anytime you're in that conversation, despite age, yes, as long as they can glide well on those skates, I say yes, they are. And they got a GM that understands what a championship makeup look like, or at least
Sure.
and over in all the years of his experience, he's probably watched and talked to others, and that wisdom's been given out to him to say, hey, we need this. We talked about the PowerPoint, right? Power
Power play,
plays.
yeah.
The power plays, like that being a part of why this team can get over the hump, getting UC Soros some help around the net. Like they address these types of things. I joked earlier about said they went and got a left tackle, they got an edge, and they got a wide receiver. Like they legitimately have made moves to say, oh, this is what we were missing. So yeah, I like that conversation, Will. Definitely.
Yep. With John Buccigross, who just joined us in the last segment, you can check the podcast out. I'm sure it'll go up soon. Really good conversation. And he mentioned, when we brought up, are they Stanley Cup contenders? He wasn't quick to say yes, but he wasn't saying no. And I think the biggest thing that he's kind of a little bit still like, let me wait and see, is because he feels like, okay, these are players that are a little bit older. Yes, they've still been productive in their 30s at their last stop, but can they continue that here in Nashville? And then to add to that, he was like, you still have to have all of these players mesh. There's a lot of names now here. Can they all mesh as a team and play Nashville Predators hockey? That is yet to be seen. But I do feel like it gives them a better opportunity now to be competitive.
Yeah.
Here is the full quote of what John Buccigross had to say about the Predators potentially becoming Stanley Cup contenders.
I'm not sure. I don't think quite a Stanley Cup. I mean, they're already a contender, obviously, beat a team with almost 100 points, and they're probably a 100-point team now. But, the question remains, I always frame it, can they beat Edmonton in a 7-game series? Can they beat this team in a 7-game series? And I think, as a result, they probably could beat a couple more teams in a 7-game series, in the playoffs if everything works out and they don't have any mass injuries and they get there, which they should. And that's the question that Barry Trotz and his staff will try to figure out as they go forward. And obviously this is not the team that would be the opening night playoff team if they were to make the playoffs next year. They would add at the deadline. They would figure out, where we need to get better. So I'm just a little concerned at the center position, what they're going to do with their lines. And, because when it comes to wings, they're pretty strong and their defense is pretty strong, but I'm just concerned. Hockey is so important up the middle. The center position is so important. I'm just wondering if there's still anything else they might try to do to strengthen that.
And this was Steven Stamkos talking with Sportsnet yesterday when asked about how he decided to leave Tampa Bay, guys. It almost sounds like a Brady-esque breakup that has happened at the end between a 2-time Cup winner and his former franchise, of which he was the captain. This was Stamkos on Canadian television yesterday.
Through all of this, what happened? You're the captain, you're Mr. Tampa Bay. What happened?
Yeah, to be completely honest, Army, I found myself asking the same question. And the more people I talked to, everyone seemed to share that same sentiment, which is puzzling and strange. And at the end of the day, there was no question that I was willing to put all that stuff aside to remain a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like I said, my family and I absolutely loved playing for that city and playing for the players that are there. It just seemed like maybe not everyone thought that way. And listen, I'm a big boy. I can handle that. We went about doing our business. I thought I played extremely well this year, regardless of the contract distraction. And and just, told them at the beginning of the year that it wasn't going to affect my play, and that's something that I was proud of. So, listen, we wanted it to end and retire as a Tampa Bay Lightning. It certainly didn't work out, but at the end of the day, in order to look yourself in the mirror, you have to just be honest with yourself, know your self-worth, know what loyalty and respect means to you, and move on. And that's why it's been so exciting for our family. Once we kind of got over that hump, we kind of zeroed in on a few teams, with Nashville being very high on that list, and just a mutual interest from day one, how aggressive they were, how accommodating they were in terms of any questions or concerns, and it just seemed like a natural fit, and we're so excited.
That was Steven Stamkos talking with Sportsnet yesterday. And interesting that John Buccigross said he thinks Tampa believes he can't play center anymore at this age, at 34.
Mentioned the speed, because that is such a big part of the NHL, and maybe losing a little bit of that, especially at the center position. But could he possibly be the next Brady, where he spends his whole career in one spot and wins championships and comes to a free agent destination and is able to get them to the next level? Like, how incredible of a story would that be?
It will be. And you got to look at it from Tampa's perspective also, to where they're in position where they've won. They've won big. They've used up as much of the talent they possibly can out of this group, and they're choosing to move on. I don't think it's a situation where he's going down or decline. I think it's a situation where Tampa's like, all right, well, we're still running high. Let's go ahead and make these moves now. Sure. And they got rid of an older guy that helped them win championship. It really is like Brady's.
It's interesting.
Coming up next, VolQuest's Austin Price joins us. Tennessee has received a commitment in football that surprised a lot of people. As one elite prospect picks the Vols over Ohio State, it did not surprise Austin Price, who joins us coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Artists and Custom Closets. Y'all, we are in the thick of it right now, man. Summer is here, which means the kids are running around. You got outdoor activities, lawn care, pool parties, you name it. It's probably settling into your garage, because why? It's so hot outside, you just drop everything there. Well, guess what? During these months, your garage and outdoor space has become a landing place for all things you don't want in your home. Those dirty shoes, outdoor toys, tools, and more. Transform your garage and outdoor space into a space of calm and organization with Artists and Custom Closets. Say goodbye to the clutter and hello to custom storage solutions that are made to suit you, your style, and most importantly, that budget of yours. All right, from your closet or garage or office, let the expert designers at Artists and Custom Closets help you get organized. All right, Artists and Custom Closets, they're local, not a large chain, but the products are also made right here in the Southeast, and it's not cookie cutters. Also, it's customized to fit your home. So start with an free in-house design consultation and take advantage of the multiple financing option to get you organized easier than ever. You can call them at 615-800-2199 or visit them at artistsandcustomclosets.com.
Tuesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues. RKW 1045 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Robert Walsh is making the show happen. We are looking to connect with Austin Price here momentarily as Ramon Foster in the Tennessee hockey sweater
Yeah, man.
has been waiting, chomping at the bit
I have.
to talk Vols.
I told you guys, I just told you a second ago off air, I was so excited this morning that I put in 2 sets of contacts, okay?
Jeez.
Like, I can tell my contacts aren't in. This morning I got up and I was like, okay, I'm sitting a little bit clearer than I usually am because I'm blind as a bat, okay? If you did not know, contacts and glasses have been a part of my life since about like the 5th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, when I started hitting crazy growth spurts, my eyesight got a little dimmed. With that being said, I get up this morning, I was excited to come to work. Crazy statement right there, ain't it? I was excited to come to work. But I was ready to see you guys.
If you love what you do, you should.
And I was. And I get out the bed this morning, I put in the contacts, and I was just like, okay, why is it blurry right now? Nothing's going on. I had to pinch them out this morning.
How did you drive? Did you drive in those?
I did.
That is wild.
Either I just, creature of habit, just popped some in as soon as I got up and was just walking blindly around the house, or I slept in them last night, which I never sleep in my contacts. I never do because I hate that feeling of getting up the next morning. Then my eyes get super red.
Dry.
And everything. Yeah, I hate that feeling. But and I got dailies too, so that sucks. But shout out to the Vols again. I don't know if I mentioned that coming into the show.
No, I didn't hear it once.
National champions and
never heard
everything, right? I hadn't heard it yet, but really, really good time, man. The studio's still intact. Ron Slay is back from his extravaganza. Also, again, Will, you missed the recap of the Slay wedding.
I did.
That happened for about 3 days.
I've literally not seen you since before Slay got married.
Oh my gosh!
I've been here though. I've held it
Yeah,
down. Don't
Kayla
worry.
has held it down.
Yeah.
By the way, I said shout out to you guys for holding it down. Shout out to Brad Hopkins too, man.
Yeah.
Morning shift is not for the weak. Okay. And,
Yesterday, he admitted he was like, "It is Monday. I will
he
admit."
felt it for the first time. That's where I was when I first took this job. I was about 2 weeks in. I was like, "Oh, this crap is real."
Oh yeah, it is.
It's about a 2-week stretch of getting up, or you have to really settle in, man. But glad to see Nashville is in a good spot still with you guys.
It's hard to fill
Stuff
in
to
like
talk
that for an extended period of time because we've developed a way to just be sleep deprived and not let it bother us. But someone who's just, it's like jumping onto a treadmill that's already moving 12 miles per hour and just starting at a dead sprint and trying to just not be fatigued in that process. And I mean, what we do is not very difficult, right? Like this is not a real job. We just sit here and talk about sports. And no, like we're sitting inside, we're cool. But yeah, it's a bit of a challenge getting used to that routine. Tennessee adds Marion Dye, a 4-star edge rusher from Indiana, picks Tennessee over Ohio State and in-state Purdue. Officially visited the Vols a couple of weeks ago. We can dive into this as we continue to try to get with Austin Price for his weekly visit here on the show. This is a big month, guys, for Tennessee in recruiting, and we talked to Brent Hubbs about this on Friday. Tennessee has been the bridesmaid, but not the bride, with a lot of 5-star prospects. And specifically, when you talk about the big guys, Ramon, how much pressure is on Josh Heupel to finish the job and close the deal with the likes of Josh Petty and David Sanders and these elite linemen who are seriously considering Tennessee and pretty much all of them getting ready to commit this month?
Man, it's huge. Andy Staples dropped that little nugget in us, I think it was last year or early this year.
Last year at SEC Media Days.
Yeah, it's like, man, it's awesome that Tennessee is getting these 5 stars, and you got Nico, and you got this 5-star wide receiver, but you're not going to compete well until you start closing these bigs. I think if you talk to many football coaches, people around the game like Austin Price, Brent Hubbs, and those of that world, they'll tell you it's all fine to get the nice trinket pieces, but you know what happens to those nice trinket pieces? If you don't win because you can't protect for the quarterback or get after the quarterback, they hop in the portal and go to places to where they can get the ball. And that's what I'm hoping for the sake of Tennessee, Vols, that they start closing on these guys. And they have. I feel like the last 2 cycles offensively more than defensively, they have closed on bigs better. But now you're in the race where you're really trying to add 2 new teams to the SEC. And you know Oklahoma has a bunch of bigs. You know that Texas has a bunch of bigs. And you got to start winning those battles right there. I still don't think there's no pressure in it because it's kids and families that haven't been exposed to what bidding is.
I don't know, though.
That where you have to start
the job.
doing. But it is the job. And here's where I'm going to go at the end and why it's important, too. It's important because if you look at what happened last year in the Georgia game, and I'm going to go to Florida game, too. Those 2 losses right there more than any other losses this year, because I thought they competed well with Bama for a while until the bottom fell out. Georgia beat you up.
Missouri beat them up.
They did.
Yeah.
Cody Schrader in the run game beat up Tennessee.
But, and that was a primetime game, too. Yeah. Those 3 games, now I'm going to throw a third one, and Missouri's a third game. You got beat in the trenches just through the war of attrition. Play in and play out. You couldn't stop a nosebleed down in Gainesville. Georgia, other than the first play, bam, that's what the small skill does, right? Small skill took one to the house. And guess what Georgia said? Cool, that was cute. Now watch us beat you in the trenches, play in and play out. And they did. Georgia did it the year before also. And then you throw Missouri in there that just so happened to have a really good season last year with a bruiser of a running back that should not have been able to run all over you like that. That's where the interior D-line, interior offensive lineman, those edge have to get closed for the Vols in this recruiting cycle this year. Whatever it's going to take. I don't care if it's a blank check because that's what we're talking about right now. Is it not the money aspect of it?
It is, and Tennessee is always going to be able to compete with any offer. It's just a matter of do they want to make an offer to some of these guys. But I think when you get into the elites of college football, you are not going to be able to outspend Ohio State. You're not going to be able to outspend LSU and USC and these teams that have as big of NIL collectives as you do.
But I can say you can spend with them.
You can.
You can spend
what's the tiebreaker when the money's the same across the board?
State income tax if the parents are smart.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be
now
real
in the
with
college
you.
game.
Our coaches having that conversation, or the collectives having that conversation with these parents also. Like, you might get this $2.5 million from Ohio State. We can give you 1.8 or 1.9, and you're still going to get the same check in your account. Those are the conversations you got to be having. And there's also the coaching, too. What is the profile of Coach Ellaby, Coach Hyper moving forward?
Well, is it
Coach Kelsey
development
Pope,
of, especially when you're talking O-line, I mean, is that part of the conversation? I mean, some of these guys coming in from high school, no matter what stars they are, you still got to find a means of development at that level.
And Coach Ellaby seemed to have done that well enough. Yes, on the offensive line. Line coach Glenn Ellaby. That seems to have taken place well. We've seen guys like Cooper Mays develop a whole lot more. Darnell is the cream of the crop right now as it pertains to that. And we're watching Spraggins also potentially going to have a good year. So there's pieces in place. And if they can get the tackles,
David
Zalance. No, I'm talking about this year. Zalance Hurd, and also what's the ones moving over to
John
the right?
Campbell.
John Campbell. If he can prove to get those dudes to agree on moving to the left for Zalance and him moving over to the right, then you got something. It can show that I'm a place here in Knoxville that can make you a right tackle. Make you a left tackle.
Almost like Alabama with
you see what I'm saying? With J.C. Latham.
Right.
These are the conversations we're having right now. One, they tell me that the chemistry in the room is right. They tell me that he's the right type of coach to be able to convince these guys, because that's a lot of it too, is can I talk to you well enough to get you to understand, not just for my team's sake and me winning, but for your sake as a pro potentially, you need to move over to the right side. John Campbell being one of those guys. That to me is his biggest test this year. Is John Campbell play at right tackle.
It's going to be interesting the way that offensive line operates, because the interior, there are some question marks. There are a lot of guys competing at left guard, and there's not a lot of depth behind that first five. If somebody goes down for Tennessee on the offensive line, they're in a tricky spot where they are relying on good young players to have to be great veteran players pretty quickly. Taylor in the F&M Bank chat on YouTube asks, do you not think the way Tennessee plays deters elite linemen?
No, because here's the thing, too. The NFL pace is about the same with certain teams, too. When you go no huddle is essentially what Tennessee's doing. I mean, no huddle is essentially what the Vols are doing. Yep. We spoke about this with Tannehill, right? I think a couple years ago, and we'll speak about it this year with Will Levis, is how much can you command at the line of scrimmage? The pace of the play don't matter. Who's the lineman that went to Kentucky this past year?
Gerald
Mincy. Mincy brought up the conversation about how he's learned more at Kentucky than he has at Tennessee. And I'm just like,
that whole article,
cap. Because you know why? I watched his tape. And in his tape, I saw him quick set. I saw him drop back and set. If you go back and look at the bowl game with Nico sets in the pocket. You know what you have to do when you have a quarterback that sits in the pocket? Pass, protect, pass off games. You have to be able to hold your block. And that group looked like they have that under control in Knoxville. And that was one of the things we get Austin on. I'm going to ask him, what is Nico? He's a pocket passer with the ability to run, because if that's the case, you got to learn how to pass protect. You got to learn how to pass off games. And you got to know good technique. Is the pace a thing? Yes, that you have to consider. Or if a team is slowing you down like Georgia or Bama does at times, all right, cool. Well, guess what? We still have the ability to slow the pace of the game down and win games. They have proven they can do that too. I think it's a huge advantage for you to be able to pace a defense, because now you're showing that I have endurance, I have understanding of the play, I'm a quick thinker, and I know how to finish each block. So that could be used against you, but look at the tape is what I'll tell you.
Yeah. I just don't think that high school kids are thinking that far ahead.
That's real.
I think high school kids are thinking about, who do I want to play for? Which of these position coaches is going to be real with me? Who's going to take care of me? Who's going to take care of my family with the NIL stuff, right? And then beyond that, who will prepare me the most for the NFL? Because if you go to Tennessee at this point, your 5-star tackle, David Sanders, you're probably starting week 1 in 2025 at left tackle. However, if you go to Ohio State, you have got a smaller window to prove yourself. That would be my recruiting pitch if I was Josh Heupel talking to the number 2 player in the country who wants to either go to Tennessee or Ohio State. You got 3 years to make a name for yourself here, man.
Yeah.
We'll put you in year 1. You're going to play on the left side, and you're also going to have a chance to play in the playoff. Or you could have a chance to play in the playoff at a team that already has 3 or 4 or 5-star left tackles. And that is where Tennessee, I think, still has a little bit of an advantage over some of these elites.
Yeah, they do. And as it stands right now, too, Ohio State already has a 5-star. I think he's on the verge of becoming a 5. Carter Lowe is his name. And again,
that's what they do.
The other side of it is, when you win big, you stack talent like this too. So I ain't finna knock them in what I'm going to say. But the idea that their coach does have to win and win now. I think Ohio State may be the front runner for the national championship.
They are the best non-SEC team in college football this year, and I don't know if it's really that close.
I'm with you.
They are them, and the way Oregon has continued to recruit, I would put them in the top 5 to 6 as well. But outside of the SEC, Ohio State is the team to beat.
They are
in college football this year.
So what happens if Michigan does? Their coach is able to hold it together.
And they
beat Ohio State.
They lost so much.
I know they lost a lot, but
so much.
I'm not
if
dismissing
that happens,
it. Oh my!
if they beat Ohio State again, Day is gone.
I think he's gone
too.
Happen.
Yeah. That can't happen.
Most pressurized job right now, I think, is between Ohio State and Texas
and Alabama.
Because he's expected to not drop.
Of following a legend cannot be underestimated.
Those are the 3 we're looking at right now.
And look, I'll put LSU in there too, because LSU is always expected to be a contender, and not having a defense that's been elite enough, like they've got to prove that they can get back to that level since winning that national championship with Brian Kelly.
Yeah. So that's my only contingency on the Ohio State conversation is with David Sanders. Again, you go where you want it.
But you get buried sometimes.
Yeah, you can get buried for sure. And Ohio State has a history of being able to put tackles in the league. I don't think they did this year. I think this upcoming draft is supposed to be a big one for them.
Yeah.
Everything about this year for Ohio State is huge.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Well, we'll have our VolQuest segment tomorrow. Tomorrow is essentially our Friday, considering we are off Thursday and Friday this week. So we'll reconnect with the VolQuest guys and get you something tomorrow morning on the show as we wrap up our week, as we were unable to get connected with Austin this morning. But we had this question kind of on the notepad, guys, of which coach in the SEC is under the most pressure entering this season. I think it's between 2 guys, but I think there is a clear answer of who is under the most pressure. If I were to ask you that question, who are the names that immediately come to mind of, if you don't win this year, you are out? Who has got the most pressurized situation this season?
Most pressurized situation.
I think it's an easy answer.
Billy Napier?
Correct.
I kind of... I'm gonna come from left field with this one. I kind of want to throw Eli Drinkwitz in there.
So, well, but think of it this way: if Eli Drinkwitz underachieves this year, is he losing his job?
He ain't.
No.
If
'cause
Sam
he waited
Pittman or
last
Billy
year.
Napier underachieve this year, they are losing their job.
Yeah. Sam Pittman.
It's them
for sure.
two.
And in my opinion, Arkansas should have already made a change.
I agree.
Why did he get an extra day at the
They,
office?
That's a
they
great
like
question.
him,
They like
just in terms of who he is. But you
great
got to
dude.
produce.
Yeah.
You got to win.
You do. It's definitely Napier, man. I kind of want to throw South Carolina's coach in there, but I think they're doing okay.
Shane
recruiting.
Beamer, yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think they're doing okay recruiting though right now.
The expectations are just so much lower at South Carolina than they are at Arkansas and Florida.
Well,
Maybe not Arkansas, but
Explain to me why I hate them so much.
I don't know.
I don't know. but
cannot
you do,
explain
you
your
do
hatred
go
of
for
South
them
Carolina.
A lot.
You know what it is? I think it's because when we went and played there in 2008,
Yeah.
it was a night game. I didn't expect them to be that way. And I
Not
caught a
fun.
concussion that game. We lost bad. That crowd was all over the field. I have internal hate for them.
I get that.
I will
Yeah.
say this. I think South Carolina is the most underrated home field advantage in college football. I think it is the most underrated home environment. That place is crazy.
It is.
I guess I didn't
Sandstorm
have a great experience
starts,
there.
the towels, like
They're on you.
it is legit. Yeah, you are
Yeah, I've
right
been
on
there.
top of the field. Like
They are.
the blue blood programs of the SEC get their deserved credit. Like LSU is the toughest environment in college football. Alabama's good. The Swamp, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Auburn. Like we always talk about those teams. I'll throw Georgia in there, I guess. But South Carolina, that is a tough place to play. Williams-Brice, not close to campus, but
Yeah.
it's good.
I covered Auburn there when I used to cover Auburn in Alabama down in Montgomery, Alabama. And I went there. It's around the same time you were there, like 2007 probably.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just the experience that specific game was not great because Auburn had a really good team at the time. But yeah, I guess I just didn't like the town. Maybe that's what it was in Columbia.
I just didn't expect it. And it the night game. I ain't sure about the day games as much.
It's an older
It was
stadium.
just like on you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like
You were also there during some of their really good years
Yeah, it was definitely
under Steve Spurrier. That
Spurrier.
I guess I grew up watching those teams too, but most generations of Vols fans have not grown up with a good South Carolina to play against. Like it used to be, if you only beat South Carolina by a touchdown, you were upset about it. Like,
Yeah, and then maybe it's
never
probably
been anything.
The former Spurrier conversation too.
course.
It was a
course.
real hate week
Oh, yeah.
that week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's where my hate for South Carolina.
I get
and I ain't
that,
got nothing
too.
bad. Like, what are they? Respectfully,
Cox?
They ruined Hendon's. Never mind. We're over it. I'm done. I'm not
Their
hurt.
turf did.
I'm not hurt.
You just call them Cox.
Coming up next.
What? They are.
Coming up
I didn't
next,
say anything wrong.
the United States falls to Uruguay. Oh, I've got takes.
Oh boy. Is Buck part of
The
it?
fire is hot. He can be, maybe. Coming up next. Last night in Kansas City was the end of an era for U.S. soccer. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, wrapping up hour number 3, 615-737-1045, with a 1-0 defeat to Uruguay in a game that was refereed by someone who is not qualified to referee TSSAA soccer. The United States have been knocked out of Copa America in disappointing fashion. And for the first time under manager Greg Berhalter, the United States men's national team has massively underachieved. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a change for United States soccer. The goal that Uruguay scored should not have stood. It was very clearly offsides. However, that's not CONMEBOL's fault. It's not the referee's fault. A referee, mind you, who has been involved in a match-fixing scandal in the past, 2 years ago in Argentina, when he called a game, and then after the game, there were jerseys of the team that won in his locker room after the game.
Yeah, right.
That's a true story. This was this referee's 7th ever senior level appearance as a referee, his first career Copa America match. But that is neither here nor there. The United States fall 1-0. They were uninspired in the attack. They scored 3 total goals in 3 games in Copa America, 2 of which came against a Bolivia team that went 0-3 in Group C play. They lose to Panama, a team that they have no business losing to on their home field, because Tim Weah hit a guy in the back of the head, got a red card. They scored, and yet they still could not protect a lead. It is time for the United States men's national team to hire a new coach. This is the problem when you never overachieve as a coach, when you always simply meet expectations. The first time you don't meet those expectations, you have no margin for error. And that is where Greg Berhalter, the U.S. manager, finds himself. This game was emblematic of his tenure. While there were good moments, there were positive moments, he was unable to beat an elite team in Uruguay. Yes, Buck Rising, that is an elite team in Uruguay.
There it is.
And there should be changes coming to U.S. soccer. Questions at this time?
Apparently, do you like his response when asked, Will, if he was the right voice and person to lead the Americans to the 2026 World Cup? He said, barely audible, yes.
Yeah, he's not.
You believe
he
that?
will not be coaching the United States
confident.
in the World Cup.
Yeah.
I do expect this to take a lot more time than it should.
Yeah.
When U.S. Soccer fired Greg and then rehired him in 2022, or after the World Cup, or 2023, it took 3 months to make an internal review. They did not extend him, and then they did extend him.
Yeah.
So I don't expect this to be a very quick process. However, there are good coaches out there who would want to coach this group of young players, all of whom are playing in Europe. The entire starting 11 of last night's game against Uruguay includes European-based players, not a single MLS player. Right. That's a separate conversation for another day. That's not necessarily a good thing. It is just where this team is at this point in its development. From a raw talent standpoint, you could make the argument it's the most talented the United States has ever been in soccer. I do not believe that that is true. However, I'm willing to hear the argument. And this team did not maximize its potential this summer in the Championship of the Americas.
So what type of coach then are they looking for when there's not a ton of time to get these guys, to that level in terms of the World Cup? And I know it's a little bit ways
They've got
out.
time. They got plenty of time.
But in terms of speaking of soccer, when you don't spend every single day together, right?
Right.
So what are they looking for? Because Greg Berhalter was obviously a guy who came from the Columbus Crew, which is an MLS team, but that might not necessarily be the case this time.
Greg Berhalter had never won an MLS title when he was in Major League Soccer. I'd say you start with someone who has won a championship, who has won a trophy of some sort. It's interesting that Columbus's current manager, Wilfred Nancy, will be the name that is most heavily linked to this job if and when it becomes open, considering Columbus Crew just won MLS Cup with an ownership group that does not spend nearly as much as the big-time teams in Major League Soccer. So Wilfred Nancy will have opportunities to go back to France, where he is from, to manage in Ligue 1, the French league. He will have opportunities to go a lot of major club teams, and that's likely where he will end up. I don't see Wilfred Nancy being the pick for the United States. However, I believe he will be the trendy MLS pick. But they're going to need someone who understands American soccer. And that is where this job is so unique, is that American soccer players are brought up in academies and they are trained differently than European ones. And there is a need of having a coach who understands MLS talent, Major League Soccer talent, how to develop that talent. So it's going to be interesting. I think you're going to end up hiring someone who likely has had international managerial experience. The first guy you're going to try to call is Jurgen Klopp, the longtime Liverpool manager, whom Brian Callahan mentioned at his introductory press conference as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He is not going to take it, but that's the first guy you call.
Why would he?
Is the old Liverpool coach because he just retired because he said, "I'm tired." Okay. Well, he didn't retire. He said, "I'm going to take a break because I am tired. I have no energy."
Berhalter knows it's over, though.
I don't know if he does because U.S. soccer is doing things differently than every other country would. Mexico would have already fired him this morning. It would be done. Mexico will have one bad tournament and immediately fire their coach. It is rare in soccer to have success doing two different World Cup cycles. Yeah. That is the challenge, that in this sport, you have so little amount of time with your players. You get a week, a month on average for a 4-year span that you don't have time to implement these complex and complicated tactical systems. You need motivators. You need fresh ideas. So you do not have time to build a team that fits your tactics. You have to take your tactics and fit it to who you have. I do not believe that Greg Berhalter adjusted his tactical setup well enough for the players at his disposal. In any other sport, right? Like Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon are going to add players to the Tennessee Titans who fit what they want to do. You don't have that option. You get the best players that have U.S. passports. Those are the options that you have at your disposal. So that is why Greg Berhalter and whoever's next has to say, all right, these are the players I've got. This is now the system I want to run. Greg was doing the opposite. Greg was saying, hey, this is my system. This is how you all are going to fit into what I want to do. It didn't work. Now they need new ideas. They never really underachieved until now, but they also never overachieved against good teams. So that was talking soccer, as part of my take would say. 615-737-1045. We'll recap the headlines you missed throughout the morning so far and get to the big headline. The Predators make major moves. We've got that for you next.
What's going on? 9:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh, and the Nashville Predators pulled their big old wallet and put it out on the table, signing multi-time Stanley Cup champion Steven Stamkos, 2023 playoff MVP Jonathan Marchessault, and defenseman Brady Shea. The 34-year-old Stamkos spent his entire career with the Tampa Bay Lightning, where he went to 4 Stanley Cup finals, hoisting the cup in 2020 and 2021. Stamkos also led the NHL in goal scoring in 2010 and 2012. The NBA also had a big day in free agency, some stars being signed, others being traded, like prolific shooter Klay Thompson, who was traded to the Dallas Mavericks as a part of a 3-team trade, signing a 3-year, $50 million deal with the third year as a player option. And Jason Tatum signing a 5-year, $314 million contract. In 2002, the Celtics were purchased for just $360 million. Now in 2025, have almost double that figure invested into players, as it was reported yesterday that the Celtics are preparing to sell a majority stake of the team by 2025 and to close on a sale of, quote, all of the shares in 2028. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And the show goes on into hour number 4 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Will Bowling, Ron Slay in 20 minutes. We will get the brothers back together again. It has been a minute.
Yes.
Ron Slay became a married man, and we've not seen you two together since then.
I hadn't even seen him since then.
Really?
No, I hadn't even ran across him.
Well, he did get here, confirmed. He did get a flight.
Yes.
He has been in the building.
True.
He has. I had a bad flight situation going back to Panama City from Charlottesville.
What do you mean bad flight?
Well, it wasn't bad. It was just you had the president and potential president in Atlanta. When I was flying, there was an air stop.
Oh.
That is the worst. My bags got...
Interesting.
I waited around 2 hours for my bag to show up. And,
Dang.
they got pushed back because everything got pushed back.
Sure.
Last time I was in the Atlanta airport, I was in the clear line, and it was so crowded, the girl that was checking everyone in tried to quit.
Are you
Just
serious?
right in front of God and everyone. She's like, man, I'm finna quit.
I thought I was like, what stopped her? Somebody was like, no, you're not. You get back in that clear line, Jessica.
Yeah.
It was literally, the clear line was longer than the just regular line.
Wow.
Oh, God.
I can believe it's Atlanta.
It's so bad. Yeah.
I mentioned before the break real quick, before we get back to the Pred stuff, I mentioned Buck and a late You're Not That Guy submission. Buck Rising with one of the worst tweets that I've seen in a little while, to be quite honest with you. Talking about U.S. soccer falling to Uruguay last night, and he says, at least it was a defeat at the hands of international superpower, * check notes, Uruguay? Question mark? That tweet, as the kids say, he has been ratioed. It has 62 replies on it, including Lucas Panzica saying, you can still delete this. Uruguay has won 15 Copa Americas, which is the South American Championship. They are a top 8 to 10 country in the world, in the history of world soccer. So we as Americans love to do but we have more people. We're bigger than them. We should be better. No, we shouldn't. We really shouldn't. Uruguay's really good at this. Really, that always has been really good at this. They actually won the first ever World Cup back in the 1930s. Anyway, I digress.
The only thing I hate that Buck does more than this is when he tweets without any context to games he's watching, because he at the core of it,
it's my pet
he
peeve.
just wants to be a part of something, because and whenever you're looking at somebody when they do something you don't like, usually it's something wrong with them. Right? Buck has no allegiances outside of a terrible Indiana basketball team. So when something's going good, he wants to pile on. And when it's bad, he wants to tweet it out and be part of the group. So when the Vols were playing, these are some tweets by Buck. Legend. Another tweet. What an athlete. That tweet had 5 retweets and 82 likes, guys. We have to come together and stop giving him things for doing nothing. These are AI tweets. I'm not even sure Buck tweets them. Since anyone could tweet that. So what I need all of us to start doing is when he tweets out of context like this, we need to quote tweet it and make it about something completely else than what is going on. So he said, what a legend. And maybe we would quote tweet it with
Colonel Sanders.
There you go.
Mr. Potato Head.
Bingo. And we just ruin his mentions. Just ruin his mentions.
I'm for that.
I just tweeted from @Ramon Kayla Will. Buck Rising is rightfully getting roasted for a terrible tweet last night. Parentheses, he probably won't see this because he probably has this account muted.
That's fair.
Because Justice Schaefer made too many your mom jokes at Buck from our account, and I know for a fact that he muted our show.
Your
account.
mom.
Maybe if he unmuted some of those things, maybe he would see actual facts that Uruguay is not just a below,
right.
Look, I
below
mean,
average
Buck's
team.
got the same access to Al Gore's internet that we do. That you can look up that Uruguay's won this tournament 15 times pretty quickly.
Right?
Pretty quickly. Uruguay did have more MLS players in the field last night than the U.S. did.
That's crazy.
Which is ironic.
I love the fact that when I looked at the tweet, the first response was Lucas.
Oh yeah.
I love the fact that you
Which
can
he
still
has a
delete
soccer
this.
connoisseur
He's got-
on his team in his
right.
broadcast team, like we do with Will.
I hope if I ever say anything dumb soccer wise, Will's like, yeah, Mo, not that one. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like he got Lucas. He got Lucas right
Yeah, that's
there.
right.
And I'm sure Jackson ain't too far removed from understanding
No.
soccer either. Like, you got people around you that can help you. Bro.
Right? Like, is this factual before I tweet this out and make a fool of myself?
And that's my dog. I mess with Buck the long way.
oh yeah,
okay?
we all do.
But
Can't relate. Speak for yourself.
What's the short way? I don't know.
the short way is like, I don't really talk to him at all. Like,
Speak for yourself.
He all right, is what you say.
Yeah, all right.
John Buccigross was on the show earlier this morning talking Preds, who had Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea yesterday. Spent a heck of a lot of money between the Preds and Titans. It is a good time to be a free agent in high demand who wants to move to the city of Nashville. We asked John Buccigross if the Predators immediately became Stanley Cup contenders or if they've got more work left to do. This is what he had to say.
I'm not sure. I don't think quite a Stanley Cup. I mean, they were already a contender, obviously, beat a team with almost 100 points. And they're probably a 100-point team now. But, the question remains, I always frame it, can they beat Edmonton in a 7-game series? Can they beat this team in a 7-game series? And I think, as a result, they probably could beat a couple more teams in a 7-game series, in the playoffs if everything works out and they don't have any mass injuries and they get there, which they should. And that's the question that Barry Trotz and his staff will try to figure out as they go forward. And obviously this is not the team that would be the opening night playoff team if they were to make the playoffs next year. They would add at the deadline. They would figure out, where we need to get better. So I'm just a little concerned at the center position, what they're going to do with their lines. And, because when it comes to wings, they're pretty strong and their defense is pretty strong, but I'm just concerned. Hockey is so important up the middle. The center position is so important. I'm just wondering if there's still anything else they might try to do to strengthen that.
John Buccigross on the show earlier this morning. That podcast full interview is available wherever you download podcasts right now. So like and subscribe when you check it out.
Preds about to be a party again, man. And again,
You
look at
hope, right?
Buccigross mentioning the center. That's my world right there. It's talking. You got your Lord Cushenberry. You know what I'm saying? Like that's some cool stuff. All I know is all I kept hearing yesterday was about soccer. I mean, about hockey. And for the Preds to be at the forefront of that nationally. The other question I had for Buccigross written down too was, and I love you guys' opinions, y'all deeper into it, but does this actually change the national profile of the Preds moving forward too? Meaning primetime games. Does that even matter in the world of hockey with ESPN being on the forefront of it right now? This is where that conversation, because you have names, right, that you want to watch on TV with storylines.
Yeah, the only difference, I guess, with that type of situation is, like I said, Stamkos has made a name for himself in Tampa Bay because of the championships they've won, right? Marsha Show, if you look at it recently with Vegas, and Vegas has been a team that they like to talk about.
They do.
The Preds, I feel like they're still one of those teams that is in a market that's still trying to prove itself as a hockey powerhouse. And right now they just don't have the trophies to prove that yet. They had the run in 2017, but they weren't able to necessarily sustain that. So you do have to kind of probably wait a minute to see if they start the season hot. And then maybe that can gain some momentum of the hockey world of, hey, we need to get these guys more national games because this is really the real deal. They added these names. They're not only big names, but now they're actually contributing.
Yeah.
Like we hope they do.
I think the Predators have a lot of attention, though, in the hockey community because of the success that they've had, the postseason streak that ended a couple of years ago, and the home ice advantage that they have inside Bridgestone Arena. I think the Predators, for a small market team, get a ton of respect in the hockey community. Maybe that's my bias showing up, and you can tell me I'm wrong. But in my opinion, I think they are recognized more nationally as compared to the Titans and the football community.
Okay. That makes sense.
Maybe a little more. I think nationally it's hard to say, though, because they do have their favorites, and they are those big market towns that the original six, all of those teams, and then the ones that have won recently. But I do think they give a lot of credit to Nashville being a really good fan base. I think people acknowledge when you go to Nashville, you're going to have a great experience. And that's even the players that have all come and played here, like Stamkos, who has said, I always had a good time coming here and, playing in this atmosphere.
Yeah. Tonight, off-season Hard Knocks with the Giants begins. Are you interested?
A little bit, because I find myself at home watching old football games. So, yes, I'm very much interested in new football content at this point.
I just want to see what the off-season stuff is, because they've never done an off-season Hard Knocks before. Yeah. So, what are we getting into the weeds with that, right?
I just don't want to see nobody sitting down video gaming. At least give me something. I ain't got no problem.
Get at least one, right?
I know we're going to get one, because it's what's popular these days. So.
I'm good.
Yeah.
No, you're not watching?
I feel like Hard Knocks was more of a novelty when there were less sports documentaries coming out every single week. I don't know. And I feel like it's a little bit too much state-run media where teams and the league are approving every single thing that you see. I'm good.
Yeah, you're smart enough to read between the lines, though. They've had a fun offseason. They lost Saquon. Darren Waller retired, had a good draft. I like the offseason stuff.
Daniel Jones also got to answer a lot of questions, too, this year.
I am interested to see how the offseason mode of it is different from just following a team around in training camp and learning to have crushes on players that you probably won't see ever play. Which that's honestly the most interesting stuff sometimes is like Jonathan Abrams when he became a Hard Knock star with the Raiders.
Yeah,
I'm interested more in those stories than I am this is what Dak Prescott does in his free time. I don't care.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
Coming up next, Ron Slade joins the show. We'll welcome him back. And y'all can welcome each other back to Nashville. It's been a minute.
Bro hug.
Ron Slade next.
teams you care about.
Rolling right along in hour number 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW with Robert Walsh. Behind the glass, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, joined in studio. Sun's out, guns out. Ron Slade.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
What's happening?
man. What's happening, everybody?
Hey, you
Got that
looking
Euro
jacked as
jersey.
hell,
Hey,
man.
man, I put that iron on him. Put that iron on him. Put that iron on him. Hey,
What team was this?
this was Varese, Chimberio. Man, shout out to my guy, man.
It's- I love
country was this
Roberto
from?
Chimberio. This was Italy.
Yeah, Italy.
I was going to say,
What
as long
is
as
it?
it's not
Yeah.
Uruguay today.
Nah, right up there in the north, right below Lake Como.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a good
I
time.
bet that was
man.
no fun at all.
Oh, man.
Right there by Switzerland. It was right there.
Dang.
Yeah, Switzerland. Yeah, heck yeah, boy. It was some good times right there, boy.
So they've been putting advertisement on jerseys
Oh,
forever.
Yeah.
forever. And when I first went over, it was the weirdest thing to me. But then it was like when I got accustomed to it, it was like, man, like why y'all ain't got no your sponsors. Like, y'all ain't got no, I went to one team.
Hide the money.
I went to one team for a month, man, and they pulled out the jersey. Had like 2 sponsors on it. I called my age, hey, I mean, this money gonna be short. As soon as we get deep into this season, they gonna try to save some pennies. I need about 17 patches on that thing. You know what I
Load
mean?
it up.
Yeah, be strong with me.
It's like when I was a campfire girl, Ron, and I was like, I want as many patches on that sucker as I can get.
You better believe it, man. My guy Roberto Chimberio, man, great dude. He does a lot of ACs. Well, he did a lot of ACs and
Look
stuff
at
over here in
Will over
America and everything. Yeah, that's my guy, man. So shout out to him. He just passed probably about a year ago too, man. Dude, probably about 400. Yeah, I mean,
Pounds?
about 450, about 6'5".
Oh, my gosh.
Man, walk slow, but
Oh,
boy.
A lot of
You-
pasta.
Yeah, come with it though. You better come with it. You come with it. He's gonna take care of you, man. Yeah, man.
I love Ramon asked if it pounds like he might be 400 years old.
I know, right? 400
That could be like a
years.
dinosaur. He's like,
It could have been kilograms.
Man,
Oh, man, like,
it was gold
you
though.
threw 400 out here like it's normal. Like that.
We know a couple.
Oh, boy.
Me and Bert.
We're not going back to your wedding, are we now?
I was just saying, man. You know what I mean? But shout out to him,
Losing
man.
it back there. Why you acting
What
like this,
up,
Bert?
Bert? Hey, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, like Lindt Chocolate was a big sponsor for us.
Oh, that's
LINDT, yeah. Well, it took us to it. And like, I'm telling you, man, some great experiences over that year, man. It's real eye-opening. I think everybody, especially once you get to college, you should have to do like a half semester
Yeah.
over there abroad, man, because it's dope. It's dope.
It is.
You said you had something for us, Slade, that you wanted to get off your chest.
So yeah, when I you know what I mean, I had to stop, so I got here a little early. But so I said, let me go fill up the truck. Found some nice little got to feed the beast a little 333 diesel. So I said, okay, let me stop right here.
333.
You hear me?
Don't tell that.
My bad. But yeah, so I hurry up and get that diesel. It's election time, baby. Get that diesel and then roll on through, man. And when I go in the store to give me a couple of waters, the little lady behind us, see, this is one thing I look like in the summer. This let me know my barometer tester. Little older lady, you know what I mean? And hit me with
See?
Yeah. Now how old? Now what she say? Now how big is you? I said, man, I'm about 6'7", 6'8", you know what I mean? It just might be on a good day, ain't no telling, you know what I mean? She said,
Enough.
well, yeah, you feel me? Enough. And then she hit me with, well, how much you bench? I said, baby, I'm retired. I don't do no bench. I just bench wallets. And walked out on a dream. Everybody started saying, I said, yeah, you know what I mean? So that was just my little daily dose right there, that's all. You gotta make those little deposits, man.
What's up with these old ladies out here?
It's summertime. It's summertime.
These old ladies.
You know what they
Summertime,
they
man.
were called? Handsome. That's all.
Handsome.
Ain't nothing but handsome.
incredible.
Hey, man, boys, those are handsome jeans, man. That's all, man.
You're glad you walked out. I feel like there were more questions coming.
It
for
probably
you.
was. It probably was.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's a good thing you walked out and the mic dropped
Hey,
there.
the older you get, the filter just removes
No,
itself.
they sure do.
That's what
They sure
it is.
do. She has a nice little, and see, this is how you already know this is a little tester, y'all. I'm going to tell you a little tester. When you go in like a little corner store or something, and you see a lady back there working, and she got like a lot of rings on. Y'all.
She been there a time.
Yeah, she know y'all.
Been there a time.
She knows what cell phone bills and stuff like that mean and all that. Yeah, everybody. And just sugar daddies out here. Let's get it going, Will Lee. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to jumpstart there because it's been a while.
Yeah, that has been a while.
By the way, you see me in Burst Trophy?
I was so proud of that when I walked in. I said, who got that out the wedding? That right there, man, that's a whole different league, man.
Hey, because they put the huckspah on us real quick. Me and Mom were walking out of there strutting because strutting.
And we was.
And we had the cups in our hand, and she was like, whoa, y'all can't take those. That's $80 a piece. And I thought old Big Bang Moan over there would have pulled the wallet out and bought two of them for us to go.
I'm out of town. You got to
for y'all.
Respect
it. I'm out of town.
Well, you know me because I couldn't respect it. So I just held mine in my jacket and left. And Moan didn't see me do it. So we get outside. He's like, man, I can't believe she caught us with them goblets. And I pulled it out of my jacket and handed it to him. I was like, well, we got one.
Yeah, that's all we need. That's all we need.
Look at that. She went for the big black guy. No, small white guy.
You always got to have one. You always got to have one. I said I'd be the fall guy.
You did. He was our token. I appreciate you, man. You keep the group safe. And still
Damn, $80.
Hey,
$80. Oh, no, it's
no, it's real. It's real
heavy, though.
I know. That's
So
nice.
I almost want to cash app and be like, hey, appreciate you.
Take
I know
that.
you missing one. With that being said, phenomenal. We still hadn't chopped it up about the wedding in person.
That's why we acting like this.
Well, that's how. Yes.
Our first communication for real.
Don't excuse us, okay? All right. With that being said, though, the West Coast was good to us, and it seemed to be good to the Vols too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Sparks and the Lakers, Dre. Like if Rakia, if she don't welcome him, and Connect, if Rakia don't welcome Connect Four, and there's another lady Vol on the Spark too. My wife gonna kill me the fact I don't know who it is. It's two lady Vols.
Ray Burrell?
I think yes.
Ray Burrell is on
I
that
love
show.
Ray
is.
Burrell.
Hey. So look at my dog. Hey, give me a little bit right there.
Ray Burrell, Ray Burrell a dog too.
How cool of an introduction is that for Dalton Connect?
That's dope, man. You always want somebody to lean on, man, when you go to a different city because it's foreign to you. Even though, like, you're in the States, you know what I'm saying, and you still got all the communication you need, man. Once you walk in and you go into an organization, it's almost like, man, where do I put my bags? Where's the store? It's like you just forget everything. Your whole moral compass, everything just leaves. You just out here just starting from scratch.
Especially
a pound
LA.
of clay, but
Especially LA, to your point.
especially
it is
LA.
a different world.
Yeah, and it's a different way you got to move out there. So it's good to have people, man, to take you under your wing. I think going out there in that situation, one thing you know about guys like AD and especially LeBron, he always embraces the young guys. That'll be good. You know what I'm saying?
point.
And then Rakia, for sure, should reach out if it's not been a connection made already. It should have been. That should have been one of the first calls. And all you got to do, honestly, is just follow up in the game. Just go to a Sparks game. I was trying to get in touch with Candace Parker, could never do it. Fell up in the Sparks game, and the access is so easy. You know what I'm saying? You just walk right up behind the bench. CP, what you doing? In his own. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's the love gonna be real, man.
Nice.
It's a good spot for him too.
We talked a little bit about Bronny before he got drafted last week.
Mm-hmm.
What have you made of the just reasonable, measured discourse that has just been totally rational? I'm being sarcastic about about him. Where are we as, I would say, general media right about that situation, and where are we not telling the full story about him as a prospect and about the way this dynamic is going to work in LA?
I think it all fell in place like it's supposed to. Like one of the conversations we led off with last week was us talking about what's the difference between European and American players. Yeah. And this is the difference. Like the national media all of a sudden had the narrative, hey man, he need to go back to school. Like he only did this. He didn't even play half the game. Like what are you talking about? When you can turn the page and say, okay, we're gonna draft this guy from Europe who averages 4 points. This guy averaged 9 points. He's a top 5 pick. what are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Just because you're not covering that and you're accepting of it, now when it happens over here, it's a problem with it. I think it's automatic, man. Like, honestly, the way it's going now and how you got NIL in college programs and things of that nature, it ought to be a farm system where kids don't honestly, and I'm all for education, but if you know your profession and you going forward and that's what you're going to do, man, you can get some studies along with that. And you good enough.
Yeah.
You can get the tutoring and everything along with that, man, to be able to get an education and go on and get a jump on your professional field. If that's basketball, football a little different because the physicality of it, but baseball the same way. Like, why wouldn't you be able to jump into it? And I think that's what LeBron and the Lakers had the opportunity to do, and they poached him from that, and that's what he was supposed to do. Go back to school for what? For what? What is he doing? What are you going to show? He can average 17? Why? Let him go 2 years, 3 years through the league. Like, look at Giannis when his little body came in. Yeah. You know what I mean? He sat on the bench, and then people get on LeBron about it. Why is Greek freak brother in the league? Thanasis. Thanasis Antetokounmpo played with me, man. That man played the exact same way. He is not a league player, but his brother is the man. That's what it is. Bill Walton, rest his soul, was ahead of me. Luke Walton got drafted ahead of me. Why? Because of Bill Walton.
Right.
Like,
and Luke was a coach.
And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So you put these people in positions to have them positions, man, and you salute them, and let's keep rolling.
I think we're going to see more of this happening as parents here.
You should
get used to it. Because I'll be honest with you, if somebody said with one of my boys, hey, he's 15, send him off.
Yeah.
Like it because that's not our culture.
Right. That's
I'm probably going to look at it sideways. But if I've been watching a lot of Olympic trials, well, by the way, it's been some awesome stuff happening on track. I watched the 10,000. It's been awesome.
Sidney McLaughlin's world record, the 400 hurdles.
She jogged at the end.
I know.
Crazy. But with that being said, though, the gymnastics side, I've been watching that too. They broke down one of these young girls' track to her training. And she's a pro now, vying to, I don't think she made the team, but to be an Olympic athlete. I think she might be 14 or 15 or something like that now. Her wake up is like from, 7 to 10, school.
Right.
Train from 10 to 3 o'clock. And then from 3 after that, school again. Yeah. I was just like, I've heard other people in the United States doing this as a recent, like, what do you call them? These prep schools that they have where I think IMG doesn't have a regulated like school system like from 8 to 3. I think they do it from like maybe 11 to 2 o'clock or something like that. Is that something that they've already been doing that we haven't done here in a while?
Absolutely. And that's what we talked about last week. That's exactly it. You hit it on the head. And when you look at it, why do they get so advanced? Because they only going to school for 3 or 4 hours. And they're doing it in a profession. Once they get to high school, they're majoring in something that they want to do when they get out of school, not waiting until they get to college, not getting all the excess. Of course, man, listen, I'm all for it, man. You got a mouth reading, the comprehension. I'm with all that, man. But the reason people keep on talking about, man, why are they so skilled? Because they had practice with us. We come in to practice at 2 o'clock, man. They done practice with the junior team. They done practice individual. They done met us at weights. They done practice with us, and they done stayed after. They got up and went to school 3 or 4 days out the week, like you just said, from like 8 to 11. That's it.
Yeah.
The rest is skill work. So by the time they do get the opportunity, it's a blowout game, and the 17-year-old Fabio Mian gets in the game, and we like, come on, Fabio, go off. You know what I mean? He get a dunk. You been in it. And we telling them, dog, you don't practice against us. That ain't nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We done showed you everything. And you got to think the next wave comes in. So he's getting to see his culture and American culture, and he's roaming with somebody probably like me. So you're getting the lingo. You're getting all sides of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they be advanced as far as skill. And then when they get in the game, it just takes it takes a minute to adapt.
When I remember when I roomed with you, I learned a lot then.
We had a ball.
And did.
Yeah, that was probably no fun at all.
Really quick,
And did.
with Bronny James, just in terms of if people don't understand, when you get drafted, in that second round and you're not immediately necessarily going to be on the roster, just break it down to people what might his journey be to play with his dad? Is that even realistic?
Yeah.
On the court?
Right. On the court, I think it's going to be tough. Initially, you may see it happen in the preseason just on the strength, but as where his talent level is, as far as where they would be playing to have an 8-man rotation, it's going to be tough, man. Like, he still got to go get his feet wet, you know what I mean, and still adapt. Like, his game is there. He has an IQ. He can pass. He can handle the ball. He know how to play defense. He's been in the league system before. He's watched it. You know what I'm saying? So all that can be fast-tracked as well, but you still have to go improve yourself from the Hoopers' eye view.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So us watching this Hoopers got to be like, okay. Now the fans watching, it's like, oh, okay, man, he in the game with LeBron, but here come the scrutiny. You know what I'm saying? But all that'll be shunned. It is what it is. All that's going to come with it if he did great or if he didn't.
Right.
So.
And it starts in Summer League because that's
absolutely.
starting up soon,
have a good
which
time.
is always fun to watch.
Good time, yeah.
I personally wouldn't want LeBron as one of my teammates because I'm going to tell you, I heard, I ain't sure if it's true, but they said the second-round pick, they said he's sleeping with his mom.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
They said LeBron was sleeping with the second
would bring
round
the
draft
days of
picks.
our lives into
What's wrong with
this.
you, boy? When y'all day off coming? When the day off coming?
2 days of vacation rescinded
God.
next year.
I don't want him in my
then-
team,
Came
man.
out of left field.
Then he had me really listening, though. I was like, darn,
I
okay,
know, too. I was
darn.
like, wait.
What's this? Okay. Oh, gotcha.
That's his kid.
I would say you've been hanging out with me too much and you're just telling my terrible jokes, but
No,
you haven't seen me since the middle of June. So
The memes on social media have been so good
They
with that
have
conversation
been.
right
They've been
there.
real good. They've been real good.
Oh, my Lord.
But I do think people got to understand, man, it's still going to take patience.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's thinking he's going to come into the league right now and average 15, let alone 10. But
Right.
as far as him getting in there, why would you want to train in a situation where you know you're going to be a pro? Like, at the end of the day, he's going to be a pro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, all you got to do is, hey, son, come on, man. Matter of fact, you beat me to the gym.
You bet.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a staff. I'm in year 22. You need to get to the gym, man. Go on and get it in. Like, he know the work ethic, man.
There,
You know what
there
it's gonna
was an era. I'll never forget, like, when our coaches wanted the 20-year-olds.
Yeah, yes.
I don't know what's changed.
Yeah.
I think the portal has. I think NIL has changed it. And coaches trying to win right now in college. But the pro coaches, Lawrence Timmons, Marquise Pouncey, Ryan Shazier, like, all of these dudes were 20-year-olds coming into the league, and Coach Tom was like, get me the young ones.
Right.
It's like, because the quicker I can get them out of the classroom off campus and put them around you fools, the quicker they're going to grow up.
Come along. It'll come along. That's exactly
It's
it.
changed, wasn't it? It's also somewhat, I guess that's why Dalton was part of one of his issues, too. He's 23. That ain't old.
When you
I
look at
know.
those teams drafting that high, though, like, it's the roster is so young. Like,
Sure.
it's not really been, like, look at the guy that just signed the richest contract in history. $314 million. He's 26.
He's just 26.
He get to get another bag like that. Imagine what it's going to be then. If he got $314 million now and they make another run, imagine what it's going to be in 5 years, dog. Say he don't opt out. He opt out on after that fourth year. He get to go get another bag like that.
That's wild.
A half of it. It was Orlando Magic's player, Banter. They said he could be potentially, with where he was drafted at, be the first player to reach $1 billion in contracts.
It can easily happen,
Orlando
man.
Magic.
It can easily happen.
Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic.
$1 billion.
Oh.
You like you in the Studio 57, man.
Right? I wish we had that nowadays. Man. I would like to go there at least once. At least one time. I might not survive
Wild
it.
West there.
But-
Yeah. Me too, KG.
Coming up, with all of the moves the Nashville Predators made yesterday, I want Ron Slay to go in the shoes of a young professional athlete in free agency. How much is Nashville a positive for the teams in this city? We'll dive into that with Slay next. Wrapping up the show this morning on RKW 1045 The Zone. Ron Slay in studio with us. Want to get Slay's thoughts on free agency and the $1 billion that have been spent between the Titans and Preds this offseason. But first, we got Joseph in Nashville who wants to talk Dalton Connect on the phone lines. Okay. What's up, Joseph?
What's up, Joseph?
Dalton Connect, man. Can we do Connect Forward?
Yeah.
That is his jersey.
That's him now. It's locked and loaded, baby.
Hey, I think you're from, do you know the Starlings?
The Starlings? Yeah. Bo Starling, Marita? Yeah. Dre?
Man, I'm sorry. I'm a Florida State fan.
Oh, Lord.
Man, I'm never ball for life, man.
All love, man. It's all love.
Hey, Bert is the best.
Talk about
and thank you for Bert already being the best producer. No, it's supposed to be. Oh goodness, hey, I love y'all, man. I'm gonna hang up.
That was that guy named Jonathan Schaefer.
No, I don't know him.
But Bert's taking over.
Bert can be the greatest.
Big Bert now.
Yeah, he can be the greatest. Yeah, he can be the greatest.
Josephine Schaefer?
Josephine. What a name. That's an old lady name right there, boy.
That's my boy, a bit of
It's
it.
Josephine.
Kind of lady that'll hit on you.
JC.
So, Slay, how big of an advantage does Nashville professional sports have? Say you are, all things equal, you're between two teams, and you can either go to another city or to Nashville. I mean, Steven Stamkos talked about this, Jonathan March's show, about combining forces at a place where you want to live. I just feel like the city that both of us grew up in here was not as attractive to pro athletes as it is now. When did that change happen?
That's a tough one, man, because I was gone for so long. So when you got to imagine, when I was watching it from afar, like I couldn't believe my eyes. And then when I used to come back for the summer, being between here in California, I would be like, man, it's evolving. You know what I'm saying? Like we moved out to California just because it was a little fast and a little bit more to do. And then coming back here every now and then, we would find ourselves like, dude, there's so many different pockets in Nashville where you can get lost, and you know what I'm saying? You actually don't have to see, and this is where we grew up, you actually don't have to see the same people for weeks at a time.
Right.
If you don't want to. There's so many different variations you can go party in, eat in, live in, socialize in, whatever it may be, and that's attractive. So I would say, man, somewhere around probably about 06, 07 for me, you know what I mean, being gone and not being able to get here like that and coming back and seeing how it is, it's just, you can still get the country feel as far as being able to go out, out to these outskirts, Hendersonville, Franklin, wherever it may be, get you some land, even up towards Smyrna, Murfreesboro, all of that. You still got those places, but then also you can come downtown and get that city feel. You can get your condo. You want to spend $100? Oh, they got something for you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you looking for, they can scratch that itch for you. So it's and then you got to look at it too, man. It's great also with all those perks and amenities as an adult, as far as it comes to partying and socializing. It's a great place to raise kids, man. I'm gonna be real. Like that's what got me back up out of California. Was like, man, I got to get back home, dog. This life out here a little different. You know what I'm saying? As far as raising kids and Nashville is enticing. I think it's something for everybody, whether it be somebody in their family that likes the rural, they like the urban, they like concrete jungle, they like the trees, whatever it is. It's quiet enough pockets where you can get whatever you want out of the entire city. So I think that's attractive as a player.
I like it.
Plus, that taxes.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Like that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah,
I think that
once you start talking about professionally.
Yeah, exactly.
When you start looking at the logistics of traveling too.
That too. You in and out here.
You in and out here.
Yep.
The LA trip ain't that far.
No.
From New York to LA is a different
If
conversation.
it's a direct flight.
And especially now with the airport expanding even more.
Yeah.
It really is gonna. I hope it does. I know a lot of people hate the growth. I still do think we need wider highways. I do think there needs to be central transportation.
You see how spoiled you are once you go to these big cities like Cali and you know what I mean. Where's the 4-lane highways all the time?
Makes it worse, though.
Yeah, but it makes it easier, too.
More people start driving on those roads when you
Yeah,
widen.
but let's let them get stuck. Then we can get back on our back road.
Exactly.
We can be good
That's
again.
what I'm
we can
talking
be cool.
about.
You know the back roads.
Yeah.
Don't tell them about 109.
No,
I don't
none of
need
that.
None of that.
None of that.
Absolutely
Are
not.
they cutting across?
Yeah.
And in Nashville, you have places like Game Terminal where you can go for a cool
Dope
event called
time.
RKW and run the table of NBA Jam like you did last
That was
night.
a dope
know,
time,
man.
man. I had
You
a
were-
ball ass, man.
You were taking
Yeah.
Icky
Ecky
Bob
to
did
the
not
house.
want the smoke.
No.
Still don't
Bob
think about
got
head,
some
man. I
hands
mean, let them know,
handed to him.
dog. This is what it is. It's just me. Don't even worry about it, Bob. It's
Yes,
just me.
indeed.
It's
I
just
just
me.
got to know real quick, too, because I didn't get a chance to check it out live. We was at the baseball fields. By the way, I told them Florida in the summertime is where the devil go to break. Okay?
Man, that heat done up, man.
It's serious. But the baseballs,
Yeah.
how insane was it the next day
Dude,
for you?
amazing.
I know
It was amazing. Like that's the only letdown to us doing the show in the evening. Like I wanted to be on y'all show. I wanted to get it bright and early.
I was
and
on
just
4
sit
hours of
in.
sleep on
Like dog,
that
you
show.
sleep for what? You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it was amazing, dog. Like the emotion that everybody felt from that, man. Like you've been starving for it. You've been starving to get a chip. And for baseball to bring it the way they did, man, especially to be able to rub it in other people's nose, rivals, and things of that nature, that was right on cue. And that's exactly what we needed. So
the Denzel, that
spill
brother's starving.
Yeah.
Starved. I will
Leaving here with
say this
something.
immediately after, and I said this about a month or two ago. I ain't even taking a lap, but I said this. I said as soon as the Vols may get one, because I was comparing Vandy and Tennessee baseball, they going to immediately say, well,
We got
you
two.
only got one.
Yeah, but that's how it should be. I mean,
Yeah.
if,
And it
if you're
should, but
considering
it was-
it a rivalry
it was-
right now,
right.
I mean, they have a right to say
I know,
that.
and
And you have a right to
but I
say
knew that
we
was
have
going to
one.
be the case.
Yeah.
It started off with, hey, go win one.
Yeah.
But I knew after you win one,
sure.
it was going to, we'll get you two.
Absolutely.
And I was just like, oh.
My whole thing is though, like when you hold them into that esteem, and I'm always hold them as a rival,
Sure.
whenever it is. But my thing is like we never will say in basketball, "Hey man, win the conference," or "Hey man, in football, finish third, or finish second," or something like because it's when you start talking like that, like sometimes you just leave well enough alone. So you done poked this bell long enough. With Vitello, man, era's got to come to an end, and they also got to begin. This one up on Rocket Talk, them begin, man. And I'm gonna be honest, I love to see Corbin get it rolling like I know he can. But boy, it's hard to get that momentum back when that ain't no fun when the monkey or the rabbit got the gun. I can guarantee it. So I don't see him letting go of it either.
Ron Slay, Tuesdays at 9:20 on RKW. Slay, thank you.
No
Good to see you.
doubt.
Yes, sir.
Coming up tomorrow morning, our final show of the week. Back at it, 6 a.m. The full crew will be back together again with our special guest, Ramon Foster, who has made it back. The words of wisdom have been lacking for the people.
Have been.
Tell them what they need to
Also,
know.
Brent Hubb said he'll join us tomorrow, too, to get us a
There we
ball
go.
Yes.
fix in.
Outstanding.
But y'all got to remember at all times, man, Ron Slade weddings in L.A. are amazing, all right?
God.
But your
Secrets
Twitter
are
fingers.
kept
and
with
your
you.
Twitter fingers in the mic is always hot, baby.